But we can restrict them from the speaking. All right. All right. All right. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newark Municipal Council's public meeting. Please rise for the singing of the national anthem and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. And the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. President, in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice has been provided to the Jersey Journal, the Star Ledger, and to the public at large establishing the date, time, and location of this meeting. May I have a roll call of those present, please?
Here.
Present.
Here.
Present.
Present.
Ramos.
Here.
Trump absent. President Quintana.
Here.
We are now in the hearing of citizens. Only those individuals who have signed up by the closing deadline will be permitted to speak this evening. When your name is called, please step to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. You will be given 5 minutes to speak. When you begin speaking, you will see a small timing device on the podium in front of you, which will begin counting down your time. When you reach the 4-minute mark, the yellow light will illuminate, indicating that you have 1 minute remaining for summation. When you reach your 5th minute, the red light will illuminate, and there will be an audible sound indicating that your time has expired. Please look forward, speak into the microphone. We are recording these proceedings, and if you turn away, we may miss part of your statement. Please address questions to the chair and not to individual council members. The first speaker for this evening is Deborah Salters.
Everything must change. Deborah Salters, City of Newark. Nothing stays the same. Everyone must change. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. The young become the old, unless they're poisoned by our water and drowning in drugs at our recreation centers or in youth prisons. And mysteries do unfold, 'cause that's the way of time. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in this life you can be sure of, except politicians will tell you lies, lies to destroy your life and kill your babies and leave you wondering why. The winter turns to spring, a wounded heart will heal, but never much too soon. Nothing goes unchanged. There are not many things in this life you can be sure of, except if you do not rise and revolutionize, you will continue to give into the lies that are put directly in front of your eyes, to harbor years and years of fears pumped into that dome between your ears by those who will continue to make you lose your souls, to bow your knees and to fold. But don't worry, my friends, No Show Joe, he's got to go. We're not Flint, and you would be right to this extent. We are oppressed by those who look like us. Hey, but it's always an inside job. Ask Malcolm, Martin, and Jesus. This directed to those who would rather kill us than feed us or please us. But take courage, my friends, courage for the fight, for it is your constitutional right to overthrow, apprehend, and maintain your civil rights with great delight. Clean water, healthy food, and clean air. Come on, my friends, let's be aware. One thing for sure, two things for certain. If you do not take the courage to pull back that curtain, you will continue to be blinded by the things directly in your face. And the things that are happening, my friends, are a godless disgrace. Nothing stays the same. Nothing stays the same. And this $120 million bond, we don't need it. We don't need anything from the county exec that's going to put us in bondage, because essentially the person that owns your mortgage owns your house, who owns the land, they own your property, and that is only going to put us further in debt. Okay, there's money that's been allocated already that's been misappropriated apparently because we don't see it. Our cops can get their raises, the people who are doing the work can get their benefits, but yet again, the council and the mayor have had a 38% raise, and the mayor wants his retroactive. So let's wake up, people, and see what's going on. It's time for us to exercise our voices, exercise our rights. Again, we do not need this $120 million bond that the people are going to have to pay back on their backs. I know the mayor said he's going to figure out a way to get it done, but that's not going to happen. We're going to wind up holding the bag for that. That $120 million is going to wind up costing us about $350 million to pay it back, okay? There are other ways to get this money. There's a bill that's on the floor now to be passed. Do not pass this $120 million bond, because trust and believe, this is the same way that Corey tried to privatize our water back when he wanted the MUA. Just a different way. It's just a different tactic for somebody to privatize our water. Not only our water, but he's going to want control of our police and our fire. What does that have to do? We have what we need to get this stuff done, and people really, it's time for us to get up and make noise and make sure this stuff does not happen, okay? Because financing that, the county is equivalent to financing your home through a bank. That bank owns your home. You're paying the mortgage and the rent for it, but they can do what they want with it. So if we take that bond, we're essentially in debt, and they can sell us for $120 million.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Colleen M. Fields.
appearing?
My name is Colleen Fields. I reside in the fabulous city of Newark, New Jersey, 27 Foster Street. I would like to give a shout out to the Public Safety Director, Ambrose. I would just like to ask him why we had so many police officers here for the Music Award. I want to ask him why there was no drug dealers on Broad Market, why was there no one soliciting, why was there no one selling loosies, why was there no trash on the streets. And I would also like to ask him why was two motorcycle cops escorting this big black bus with tinted windows with their sirens on today. So I'm sure that all those extra cops that he hired to come in this city for outside rich people, that the taxpayers are going to pay for that. And I'm sure that the motorcycle guys are going to get paid too. And I was talking to Mayor Baraka like 3 days after that, and my question was, why wasn't this city police like that every day? And I said, no drug dealers, no selling loosies, no nothing. Why wasn't it being policed like that every day? Mayor Baraka said it could be policed, and it is a shame. It is a shame that outsiders can be respected more than we are. And you know, y'all got the letters up there, and I noticed that Mildred Crump wrote a blatant lie. It's half truth, because I did say that I wanted to do that to Ambrose, but I did not say, and she's a lie from the depths of the pits of hell, I did not say that I was going to do any bodily injury or harm to her. But that's Mildred Crump. And you know, the things that you were doing to the speakers that come up here is not right. You're trying to make us so bad and everything, and you violated my constitutional rights. And Ms. Crump sit up there and lied and said the mic was on, and I'm surprised at Gonzalez. Just when I was trying to, you know, kind of make up with him, he said the mic was on. But I think, Ms. McIver, you got up and you tried to put the mic on, and Ms. Crump lied, and Gonzalez lied and said the mic was on. It was disrespectful, and I don't appreciate it, you know, and it's really a sad thing. When I really get down and disappointed at this council, I always Google Gil Noble, like it is in the interviews of Amiri Baraka, and the tears ran down my face. Mr. Baraka said that Newark was the first to have a black mayor, a black police director, a black and brown school board, and a black and brown council. And the council allowed the Italians or whoever to come in here and tell you what to do. We have the same thing now. And you got to be stoned out of your ever-living minds if you don't think we know what's going on, because I don't want y'all to call the cops on me. I'm trying to get back home safe. I have 4 beautiful grandchildren that I would like to see live. My oldest granddaughter, she had a scholarship. She graduated. She just went back for her master's. My second grandchild just graduated from high school. She started pre-med last week. And I come from a very intelligent family, but y'all don't like me because I stand up. I'll stand up to the cops. I'll stand up to anybody who disrespect me. I have fought for this city more than most residents fight for the city. And I would like to, I was appalled that they took down the benches because they didn't want the homeless out there. But you know, you can't put a Band-Aid on it. I went to the meeting today, and the homeless exist. And I would like to get with Deborah Underwood, street doctor, whatever, and come here one night or a whole week, and we sleep on the steps of City Hall. Because you don't seem to care. And I think it was appalling that that cop down there at Penn Station say he come for 2 hours for 4 times a week. What is that? And I remember when those people were coming, bringing food and clothes, beautiful clothes down here, and we was over there, and because Prudential was there, Ambrose called the cops on us and said that he was gonna feed the homeless. He ain't got he ain't feeding no homeless. But anyway, you know, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody, but nobody's gonna disrespect me as well. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Get it together.
Lisa Parker.
Not appearing. Oh, she's here. I'm sorry. I didn't see her. Sorry, Lisa. I didn't see you. You usually come that way. No problem.
I gotta switch it up with y'all. Lisa Parker, resident in Newark. I first want to thank all of the council members and particularly John James for the street naming and supporting the street naming for Donald Bradley, who's been an ambassador of this city for as long as he's been here. It's an honor and thank you. Lisa Parker, resident in Newark. City Hall went from Hall of Shame to Thug Hall to now a criminal enterprise. You are poisoning the people. You don't have no respect for any of the unions that are here, including Luna, that I see they're back here for about the third time. I don't know if you made the fire and the policemen whole with their health benefits, but at the end of the day, the government is supposed to work for the people. Some of you that are sitting up on that dais, you believe you work as an employee for the mayor. You are an elected official and you are a public servant. Your job is to work for the people and advocate for the people. But that hasn't been happening for a long time under this administration. The lead in our water is man-made. The mayor ignored the state, the EPA, to test and treat our water and have incompetent folks running the water department. This is a public health crisis. Where's Dr. Wade? Where's the policies and the plans for after you test our children and the residents here that have been exposed to lead? Did you put any resources into brain damage, developmental disease, ADHD, and all of the problems that will be a byproduct of the lead in our water? I say to all of the people relating to residents, the lies from this administration, drink up like Jim Jones. I want you to drink up. Executive orders that you don't have to notify the residents or anybody in the city, you should not be trying to pass that. Because you declared, without the knowledge of the community or anyone else, you declared a state of emergency, this administration, to get for 285,000 residents, $1.3 million was spent to purchase 20,000 filters. Now, Pure donated to you 40,000 filters. At the end of the day, we need to be questioning, and you should be questioning, how our tax dollars are being spent. And the chain of command should be the legislative branch, which you should be exercising how these executive orders that are not going to the public are spending our dollars, and there's no accountability from this administration. The court told this administration last year to give the water to residents door to door. The only reason they're giving the water door to door now is because you got embarrassed once again by everybody else catering to our seniors who are the most vulnerable, our young people, our homebound people. There's no way in hell you keep spending our tax dollars and we gotta come to you and beg for some water? Seriously? Water. Bring a piece of ID, show your apartment deed. What kind of foolishness is that? You could get a 38% retroactive increase, but you can't represent the unions, make their lives whole, and you got people out here begging for water? And then talk about impacted and non-impacted area. I live a half a block away from Jones Street. Jones Street is impacted, but you tell me on my side of the block, I'm not impacted. How does that work? When every time I go to turn on the faucet and use the water, I got cloudy water, and I'm not impacted. I can't get 40 filters for my homeowners who are elderly, and some of them are working people. But we pay taxes here. We have a right. We put you in the office to represent us. But what you've been doing is continuing the lies of this administration. When is it going to end?
Next speaker.
Donna Jackson.
She's here.
Hold the line. Hold the lines. Hold the lie. Donna Jackson, 128 Smith Street. Hold that lie. Team Baraka, yes. Touchdown. Hold the lie. Y'all keep on. Let's go through this real quick. You want to continue to lie, you council people? Y'all better pick what side you're going to be on. Either you're going to be with the people or you're going to hold the lie team. We already clear about where the females stand at with their arrogant responses after every council meeting because people are lying on this mic. I'm glad the rest of you haven't chimed in on that ignorance that continues to be perpetuated at the people that come to this mic. We say whatever we want to say. You don't have to like it, but you don't have the right to be disrespectful at the end of the meeting when you know people can't respond. Miss McIver, you don't learn because you live in Franklin Lakes. You don't live here. You won't learn how Newark do it. Notice number 1 of 4. May 2019, y'all sent this out. This y'all paper. How we lying? Accelerated, elevated lead levels. Met and exceedance. Who lying about this? Y'all? Joe, you still drinking that water? Your family still drinking this water? Idiot. 8/19, this month. Y'all just sent this out to us. Notice number 5. This ain't Donna, this the city of Newark. I want y'all to see that. This y'all paperwork. This y'all paperwork. This is acid. This ain't lead. This cancer-causing chemicals. But ain't nothing wrong with the water. Your mother drinking this water, Joe? Your mother bathing in this water, Joe? Your family bathing in this water, Joe? John, really? Well, stop it then. Y'all just as ignorant as the man on this floor in this corner, this boy, that keeps saying that you're using water that's contaminated, that you're saying is contaminated. You said this caused kidney failure, liver failure, nervous system failure. And you still using the water, John? Okay, keep holding the lie. I see that's what y'all like to do, hold the lie. Then you send out this water quality report. And inside the water quality report, y'all said y'all cleaned 4,000 sewers. What city you did that in? Flint? Because you ain't cleaned no 4,000 sewers in this city. Not with all this flooding we've been having in the last 2 years. Y'all ain't cleaned nothing. You ain't cleaned nothing. And I hope y'all respond at the end. Because we tired. $49 million bond. Stealing and dealing. Pay to play. $49 million. Y'all buy one garbage truck? One tree? Hey, this y'all paperwork. Well, hold up now. Don't get mad. This y'all paperwork. Donna ain't typed this. This y'all stuff. That's right. $49 million. You buy one damn truck, one sweeper, $280,000. Who company is that? That's right. Who we owe this to? That's right. Who? And I know there's a divide in the family, and I hope you keep on, because y'all realizing y'all on the wrong side. Amen. Some of y'all decided not to hold the lie. Hopefully you're standing up soon. $120 million. Really? I went down to the hearing. Didn't allow the public to speak. Residents, I want you to realize out of this $120 million, $27 million goes to processing. The city is only getting $94 million. That $94 million is going into the general fund. We will be paying this $120 million loan off until 2047. 2047 at 5%. Y'all thought that was a good deal? Anybody need my paperwork? I got the book home. I printed out the 300 pages that y'all submitted to the state. Then the law team submitted to the state, I hope y'all knew this, that we are $447 million in debt, Augie. That's what they told the people in Trenton last Wednesday. Aneba, did you know that? Well, Aneba, that's what they told them. And I realized to stop holding the line, team, I need to talk to y'all. Eddie, John is still confused, and so is Joe, and so is that one. But the rest of y'all got some clarity up here, and you need to hear me. That's right. In this ordinance, it says that you're going to change every lead line from the water meter to the street. Well, you did my mother's house, and you only did the curb. You only did the curb. You should at least did it right at my mother's house, or all places. But you didn't do that for my mother. You ain't went in my basement. You ain't dug up the street in front of my house. And as I go around to my neighbor's house, Aneba, don't look like the North Ward. Ain't nobody got dug up in the street. They doing it all at the curb. They ain't even tear up my sidewalk, Neba. They ain't tear it up. Gonzalez, Augie, they ain't even tear up my sidewalk. Lastly, let's determine, Lou, how many lead service lines we got, because guess what? Your water department don't know. Pay the people, do the right thing, please stop holding the lie.
Nice speaker.
Shakima K. Thomas.
Hold the line.
Appearing.
Hold the line.
Thank you, Donna, thank you. Shakima Thomas, 280 Eastern Parkway. All right, good evening to all the stakeholders of Newark. Hashtag hold the lie. It's a packed house tonight. I hope we getting wide shots of behind me and not just tight. We need to show people at home that people are coming out. Right here in my left hand, I have a pack of lies that I will no longer allow to be carried around the city of Newark. Tonight, I'm gonna go through some of the lies, but not all of them. I wanna make sure, I'm using my time in the most constructive and creative way as possible, and hopefully I share some knowledge too. And at the end, I wanna ask our council members to do something specific. But we'll start with lie number 1. In 2018, Mayor Baraka said the water was safe, the source water was safe, and all of this double talk about the pipes and America's infrastructure. We spoke to water experts throughout the country, and they have determined hashtag that is a lie. If anyone believes they can take a ride up to West Milford and dip a cup into the Pequannock source water and drink it, they are loyalists cruising for diarrhea and excruciating stomach pain that will lead to sickness and disease and in some cases death. I do not encourage anyone to follow these loyalists, but let them do us all a favor and let them drink from the source water by themselves. Until then, let's kill the noise about the source water being safe, because the source water contains waterborne pathogens like Cryptosporidium, Giardia, Legionella, norovirus, Shigella, and other nasty pathogens. All right, so lie number 2. Baraka said lead service line replacement forms were problematic because homeowners refused and landlords were absent from participation. Newark residents, including renters, homeowners, and landlords, have reached out to me, and we have determined hashtag that is a lie. Whoever is giving the mayor his information is clearly making him look like a fool in a cheap suit. That's right. I guess it was the same dude who said 3 times 12 is 24. He said that. Yeah. Line number 3. Mayor Baraka and his loyalists said the county is giving the city of Newark $120 million at no cost to the residents. We consulted with financial experts and asked if this money would be free, and they have determined hashtag that is a lie. A bond is a loan is a liability. A bond is a loan is a liability. A bond is a liability. The city of Newark will have to pay Essex County back and fulfill the terms of the loan, which we do not know. So 120 million could turn into 457 million that we end up owing. Line number 4, Mayor Baraka wrote in an op-ed piece posted by NJ.com today that Newark will be the first city with all lead service lines replaced. Former Mayor Virgil Bonero was the first to replace all lead service lines in Lansing, Michigan back in 2016. Newark, the model city for lead line replacement, hashtag that is a lie. Right now, Newark is the model city for a lying ASS mayor. Line number 5, the protest that happened on August 26th at the MTV Video Awards, loyalists and protesters said, well, not protesters, sorry, loyalists and, who was his name, the guy that slapped the lady, they said that they weren't residents of Newark, but yeah, we were residents of Newark, and they said they were outside agitators. No, those people were from Belleville and Nutley, the same people that Newark sells their water to. So, the fact that protesters were not from Newark, hashtag that is a lie. The protest was executed by Newark residents and people from townships that receive water from Newark. Street Doctor, they were from Newark. And you were out there protesting too. Yeah, don't act brand new.
Excuse me.
Don't act brand new.
Excuse me.
Have a seat.
You got-
Hashtag have a
Thomas,
seat.
you got to address the chair, not the audience.
Oh, my question is, can you guys investigate this whole water crisis?
Thank you. Next speaker.
Dion McCutcheon.
Excuse me, Donna, we have to have some water here. All right? Excuse me. We're going to listen to everyone. Please, if you cannot continue, we cannot continue this. I said it yesterday. We can't overtalk over speakers. Let's all listen to the speakers as you got your opportunity, please. Speaker.
Dion McCutcheon, Newark Matters, defending the aged, the disabled, the homeless, the poor, and the defenseless. Dion McCutcheon. The last 2 meetings I stressed, at least I thought I stressed, that the current distribution of water was insufficient for the city of Newark. It's actually a plan where people go pick up water. There's a difference between distributing and going to pick water up. Specifically, I thought I mentioned with regard to the aged and the disabled, and the combination of both, that it, in my opinion, was something that should not be happening to them as a part of the community. Now, I'm going to move to the homeless part of the people who I am defending. According to the way it's set up, right, you go down there and you present to them your ID with your address. But if you're a homeless person, you don't have an address. So how do you get water if you're a homeless person in the system that you guys are currently running? How does that happen if you're homeless? Now let's assume, I think Westport Councilman and Norfolk Councilman said, you know what, for the aged and the elderly, they can call, I think you said call your office on Bloomfield Avenue, I think you said you can call the number that's on the website. Now, I don't know too many homeless people with iPhones. I know, I'm pretty sure all of you have one. You probably have the new one that's coming out, the 11. You probably already pre-registered for it, because it's about to drop on the 20th. I don't know too many homeless people with phones, right? I was homeless. I'm just getting off of homeless, you know that very well. Councilman Ramos, just in 2016. And it's assumed that they did have a phone, right? They would call up and say, hey, my name is so-and-so. And then they're going to say, where do you live? They're going to say, I live under the bridge on Penn Station. Okay, we'll deliver it, to you under the bridge. What time would you like for it to be there? Well, you know, I got to go eat at St. John's, and I have to do this, so can you get there? You know, how are you going to deliver water to people who probably don't have a phone? I'm assuming the fortunate ones that have a phone who call in. right? You gonna deliver it to them under a bridge? Because that's where they live. Or the guy that lives right across the street from City Hall. You know that little cubby hole where the bank is? I think he has his whole family there. You guys haven't seen him? You work, I mean, you're the city council. This is your second home, I assume. So I guess the point that I'm making is the plan that's in current, what I would do, the plan that I would administer, like I said, I would distribute it to the homeless shelters. I mean, wouldn't that be nice? Finally, something in the newspaper from the city of Newark? The city of Newark's distributing water to all the homeless shelters. That'd be a great headline. But I guess you guys haven't thought about the homeless. I guess, you know, just as they're neglected on an everyday basis, now you're gonna let them die of thirst? I would have it delivered to each homeless, you know, contact the guy that's running the shelter. Say, yo, my man, listen, how many people are generally here? How many you hold tonight? We're going to calculate this 2 cases per person, you know, every 2 weeks or per month. But I guess the homeless to you guys mean absolutely, not you guys, to the city of Newark, because you guys legislate the laws. I guess the city of Newark, they really don't care about the homeless, it's just dying of thirst. I find that to be very negligent for the city of Newark. By the way, I'm not speaking to you. Let me make this clear to everybody that's in this room and watching on TV. When I come to this podium, although I have to look at you because you're in front of me, I'm really speaking to the city of Newark. I just use this as a medium in order for them to understand who I am and what issues are important to me. I just want to make that very clear to everybody in the room and everybody watching on TV. They just happen to be in front of me. Yeah, I think you guys, not you guys, when I say you guys, I think the city should do a much better job of thinking about the people who are the most vulnerable in this city. In particular, like I said, the aged, the disabled, the homeless, the poor, and the people who can't defend themselves. But for some reason, that class of people, that protected class, well, in my opinion, they should be a protected class, seems to be ignored at every angle within this city. And I find that very, very disturbing. You know, I'm assuming if one of you, or not you, if there's somebody, let's say somebody that works in the mayor's office or the mayor himself had a relative that was homeless, I'm pretty sure, or, you know, I'm gonna say one of you had a relative that was homeless and you know, I'm pretty sure you would say, wow, why are you guys not trying to help the homeless? Why are you not trying to help, you know, the aged? Why you don't die of thirst? Thirst? When it's very simple to just contact each homeless shelter and say, hey, we're going to give you some water because we are the city of Newark, and this is what we do for the people who are the most vulnerable in our city. But I guess that never crossed the city's mind. Again, you're just in front of me. I understand that. You know, you work with the laws and you're supposed to legislate. Dean McCutcheon, Newark Matters, defending the aged, the disabled, and the poor.
Next speaker.
Opal R. Wright.
No. Excuse me, you're out of order. You're not speaking. Officer, you are bounded from speaking because of your, sir, yes. Okay, we're going to recess, and we will recess, and then we will come back.
Yep. We tried.
Mr. Clark, recess.
Recess. Opal R. Wright.
Ms. Wright? Thank you.
See that coming a mile away.
We're going to listen to the speaker. We're going to listen to the speaker. Is that on, Tony? Go ahead, Tony. Okay.
My name is Opal R. Wright. I reside on Vanderbilt Street, Newark, New Jersey. I'm here concerned with the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009. The funds that are available, and for each of the programs and services, it's giving, it's giving the applications to the, yes, good evening, council people, but these applications are given to you to file for those who qualify. The accountability and transparency would be if you, councilors, were to well, the applications were emailed to the heads of federal departments and agencies, and it would be very, I guess, it would be your work or your assistance to try and consult with the heads of departments and agencies and pretty much have the funds for the qualified citizens. According to the law, we have to have concurrent resolution adopted, which I know that as of November 2017, I submitted the adoption. It's from the law, but you said it was understood. I'd like to forward these to you. These you receive, would like to know if you would read it as well as I've read it earlier in one of the meetings. The concurrent resolution you can read on the opposite pages, and since it's understood, yet the department that I go to or any of our residents go to here in Newark, they would be, I'm sure it would be good that, or it would be appropriate to give the departments, each department here in Newark, City Hall or around, a copy of the concurrent resolution. And this way we would be able to ask for a program of service, and they would understand what we're discussing with them. I would like to also talk the concern with the Dodd-Frank Wall Street reform and consumer protection. The financial stability in Title I, the judicial system, the judge would review a corporation which would appear to be, to need financial stability. And the company that they allow to have a corporation to help assist them. The importance of the company as a source of credit, to make sure that these companies are a source of credit for households, businesses, and local government, and a source of liquidity for the United States financial system. It is also very helpful for the low-income minority and the underserved communities, and it impacts the future. The communities are also
and when we talk of the mainstream, into financial institutions, we should understand that when you read that section, it does indicate that they are providing service, providing a product. So if we were to ask that they look at the application and be able to go to their computers and find that we are existing clients.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker.
Denise Cole.
Denise Cole. Not appearing.
Jay Arena.
Appearing.
Good evening. My name is Jay Arena. I live here in Newark, New Jersey, and I am with the Jobs and Equal Rights for All campaign. And I first want to denounce the repression that was unleashed against our sister Munira Bahami, and this needs to end. This repression needs to end. Now, I am a proud supporter of our Jobs and Equal Rights for All candidates, Nichelle Velasquez and Yolanda Johnson, who are here with us, who are here with me, who are running for the New Jersey Assembly, the 29th Legislative District.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. This is not a political forum.
Look,
please address this. That's not a political forum,
sir. Time. Hold the time. I join with Nichelle and Yolanda to say the rich must pay to rebuild our lead poisoning delivering water system that we have in this city and actually around the state. It's not limited to Newark. And our whole crumbling infrastructure from our train system, from our schools and hospitals. And we need to tax the rich. Our candidates, Nichelle and Yolanda, are committed, if elected, to pass a wealth tax on the wealthiest 1% of New Jerseyans and their corporations to pay for the rebuilding. There is lots of work to be done. I appeal to my Liuna brothers and sisters, join with us. We need immigrant workers. We need those born here to work to rebuild our infrastructure. We need to end, I appeal to you to demand your leader, Wayne Richardson, stop supporting the ICE concentration camp as a freeholder for Joe D. And we appeal to the City Council to stop their silence, including Councilperson Augusto Amador, where this concentration camp is located. Stop your silence and demand that the Joe D. regime end this concentration camp. It must end now. We also appeal to you, the rich must pay. We're going to New Jersey, but right here in Newark, you continue to give out tax abatements, corporate welfare to these corporate criminals, be they Prudential, or right today, you're going to be discussing more corporate welfare for the development on Broad Street. But you don't have any money for clean water. Instead, you sell bonds to the billionaires that we then have to pay. They make a profit off of our suffering. That needs to end. And we need to end the welfare at the state level, the Economic Development Authority, with the support of the City Council that have given out all kinds of corporate welfare to billionaires like Nicholas Berguen and Goldman Sachs, who own the so-called Teachers Village. But no money for clean water. We need to make the rich pay. But our opponent, Ileana Pintor-Marin, part of the Joe D. regime, just like all of these others, opposed, as head of the Budget Committee for the New Jersey Assembly, Ileana Pintor-Marin opposed even the minimal millionaires tax, a drop in the bucket that the governor proposed. But Ms. Marin, along with Deportation Joe and Deportation Teresa Ruiz, have no problem administering the blood money contract from Donald Trump to run one of the largest ICE concentration camps. And again, Wayne Richardson approved that, brothers and sisters. We need you, Liuna brothers and sisters, to confront this class traitor. But she has no trouble. She has no trouble. Just like Carlos Gonzalez has no trouble, has been silent while this concentration camp exists in this city. But Ileana Pintor-Marin has no trouble generating blood money, but she won't tax the rich. Our candidates, in contrast, are uniting a movement. Immigrants, those born here, to confront the real enemy, the billionaire class, who are the real culprits behind this poison water. They need to pay. They need to pay. And so we call on you, all our supporters, to get behind this movement. We demand that you end this corporate welfare. It has to end. That rich must pay. Prudential, you got to have some backbone. Who do you represent? Do you represent the rich? Do you represent these corporations? Do you represent this real estate shark that's going to come here for more welfare and you don't have any money for clean water? What side do you stand on?
Next speaker.
Michelle Velasquez.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Michelle Velasquez, and I am with the Jobs and Equal Rights for All campaign, and I'm running alongside Yolanda Johnson for the State Assembly for the 29th District of Newark and Belleville. I'm here today because my daughter was tested for lead, and the results came back that she was positive. So me being a mom, I decided to do some research on getting rid of the lead on my own, since the doctor said the percentage of lead is not high enough for me to worry about anything. The doctor said that. I've done some research, and the research came up that foods like kale, garlic, and cilantro are some superfoods that help rid the system of lead. Now, I've seen a bunch of hubs around the city of Newark that should be growing produce for the people. How come these aren't operating and distributing fruits and veggies to the community? Those water filters are great and all. However, the lead still comes into the pores when you shower. I know because I used to work for a water company that sells water filtration system for the entire household. Google it up. This lead problem has been happening for quite a while now, and now it's time to do something about it. I demand that the city of Newark do something about it today. If my campaign, Jobs and Equal Rights for All, is elected, we will pass a wealth tax of the top 1% to pay for rebuilding the Newark water system and the entire infrastructure of the Garden State.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Eric Lerner.
My name is Eric Lerner. I'm from Warren, New Jersey. I come here to Newark to support the Jobs and Equal Rights campaign and to talk about the water crisis in Newark, because the water crisis in Newark is symptomatic of a national crisis. This nation has a $4 trillion deficit in infrastructure. Too little infrastructure in water supply, too few schools, too few hospitals, too little housing, too little mass transportation. Now, I want to ask you, how does the nation that has more billionaires than any other country in the world not have the money to provide its citizens with clean water? What is the answer to that question? Well, it's not a trick question. The answer is because we can't supply clean water because we have so many billionaires. Because governments under Democrats and Republicans have funneled trillions of dollars from the pockets of working people to a handful of 1,000 billionaires who are running this country. And this has got to stop. The solution to this infrastructure problem has to begin with make the rich pay. We have to take back these trillions. The candidates of the Jobs and Equal Rights campaign have pledged a tax on the wealth of the richest people in New Jersey. A 5% wealth tax will raise billions of dollars. And I asked the City Council to pass a resolution in support of a wealth tax in New Jersey, because we have to make the rich pay. We don't have to pass bonds like you propose to make working people pay. The rich have to pay for the problems that they have created. These candidates are pledged as well to close the concentration camp in Essex County. This is a related issue. Why are there concentration camps in Essex County and all across the country? Because the rich have had a campaign to demonize one section of the population, to distract from the robbery that they are committing with your assistance. This is not a new tactic. For centuries, the wealthy have said, oh, your enemies are people whose parents come from China, or parents come from Africa, or parents come from Japan, or whose ancestors today come from Latin America, or whose religion is Catholic or Jewish or Muslim. It's the oldest scam in the world, divide and rule. Don't pay attention to the money we're stealing from you. Pay attention to those people over there. Well, we're not falling for it. The Jobs and Equal Rights campaign is about unifying the working people of this country, unifying them behind a program that will provide jobs for all. Because if we have free education, if we have the transportation and clean water we need, providing that will create jobs for all. So I join Jay Arena, the previous speaker, in asking, which side do you stand on? Do you stand on the side of the billionaires, or do you stand on the side of the working people? We know where we're standing. Thank you.
Next speaker. Thank you. Next speaker.
Yolanda Johnson.
Yolanda Johnson, Central Ward, Newark. Good evening. So you cannot justify you putting Munira Bonami out of this meeting because you failed to not include her on the list. She's on this list and she's here. You should have allowed her to speak. That's failure on your behalf. So I'm appalled that the Latinx families are suffering in silence as they endure abuse from their children's school in the East Ward. I thought the city of Newark and the Board of Education was a sanctuary city and school. I'm also flabbergasted that representation for the Latino community is lacking or 0 to none. I suggested translation equipment at the board meeting, and now I'm here requesting translation equipment to get to the ELL parents some equipment, because nobody deserves to live in fear of deportation. Months ago, we swept the city, we swept the election 4 years straight, Ramos, but endorsed candidates all 4 years whose only interest is special interests. And you can tell at Oliver Street School, where parents are being institutionally abused, threatened, and afraid to speak with elected officials from fear of deportation. Puerto Rico did what was necessary for their quality of life, but Quintana can only talk about how he was visiting during the mass protest, hence, neither of the elected officials are speaking up about the Latino conditions of the ICE concentration camp. So, in their own city. So, I don't know how you're going to do this, but my suggestion to you today is if you're gonna endorse some candidates for your interests, get them some training. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Link Bella Hughes.
Yep. Hi, my name is Link Bella Hughes. My pronouns are they, their, theirs, and them. I live at 25 Vaughan Drive in the Central Ward. Just really quickly, every day is a new beginning. So whatever happened yesterday with Munira, today's a new beginning. They should be able to speak. I support the Jobs and Equal Rights for All campaign because I think that and feel that independent socialist campaigns like ours are the best hope to achieve 3 values that I'm going to talk a little bit about: democratization, conscientization, and multicultural working class unity. In this dominating matrix and the intersectional messiness of everyday life, in all of its dehumanizing institutions, these values, when practiced well, which is never easy, composes rehumanizing practices that are healingly headed toward full liberation from all oppressions which still exist in this terrible power system, even the one that has Ramos sort of ignoring me right now and on their phone, sort of, okay, I'd love to check at the end, that'd be kind of cool. So let me just break down each one of these values here for a minute. Democratization means socially transforming the existing social structures and economic base from the bottom up without domination or coercion so that each of us practice the sharing activities of governance. We do so that every living body's needs are met because we are alive in this world, which, once met, we can then pursue our creative activities, which are part of our wants and our desires. Conscientization, from third world Marxist Paulo Freire, is the social and educational process of becoming critically responsible people who individually practice their body powers to identify economic, political, and cultural contradictions that harm us by taking away our positive qualities of our humanity, getting us to harm ourselves or to harm other people, against the natural moral reasoning power, and against our capacities to love self and others in the truest caringness we can possibly practice each day and each night. To conscientize is to begin acting upon the oppressive elements of the dominating world rather than the system acting upon us without our consent, without care for our voices, participating in the decision-making processes as to how our needs get met, how we pursue our wants and desires, and in determining how we make justice without harm for full restoration of justice when harms have been practiced. Multicultural working class unity needs these values so we can reclaim the values that the capitalist class has taken from us and from some of you when you were workers at one point, and the state from the local all the way on up, which facilitates all of this capitalist exploitation by not outlawing oppression completely. We need each other across all lines of difference in order to socially transform this world into a fully caring socialist system in which everybody who can labor can do so in mutual aid type ways, where we are each one always helping each other meet our needs. That world has no profits, it has no invented cruelties to manage us, and it's in the world, and it's in that world where love is at the core of every action we practice every day. I support jobs and equal rights for all because in between the lines of our platform and the program that we need to concretely make with each other rest these 3 values that are in motion, awaiting practice by many, if not us all. I know because I helped to form that platform, I've read it closely, and I believe in Nichelle and Yolanda's capacities to lead in Trenton and here in Newark, because they are committed to practicing democracy as conscientizing selves, like me, and hopefully like you if you start identifying those contradictions and trying to get oppression out of this world. Nichelle and Yolanda know that multicultural working class unity is how we are going to move socialism forward in scientific ways without the dehumanizing bullshit of bougie politics getting in the way.
Excuse me, you're not going to use that word. We got children that are listening at home, and you're not going to utilize that word. We're not going to allow that from you.
Okay,
finish it up.
Can you pause the time there for a moment? Because you just interrupted me.
No, because you use foul language in this chambers.
Hold on.
Yes, he did.
Harry Frankfurt is a moral philosopher at Princeton University. They wrote a book in 2005 called On Bullshit. Please read it. It's about 90 pages.
You're out of order, that's it. Cannot continue that kind of language on this count.
It's an analytical concept.
Thank you. Can't use that kind of language in here.
Jocelyn Moore.
You're not going to use, no one is going to come here. We have children and people who listen to this. We're not going to do that, I'm sorry.
Jocelyn.
Well, we don't, excuse me, you're out of order, sir. You're out of order. Officer, if he continues, remove him too. This is not going to continue to happen. We got to bring an order to this council. We got a government to run. We listen to you, but we're not going to listen to any kind of language that is not appropriate. Sir, you're out, officer. Remove this gentleman. He's not going to continue being here. You know what? You're out of order. Leave the chambers. Thank you. Get him out of here. All right. Next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Jocelyn Moore.
Mr. Moore. All right, next speaker. He's not appearing.
Cassandra Dock.
Cassandra Docks. Not appearing, Mr. Clerk. Oh, she's here. I'm sorry. Sorry, Cassandra. I didn't see you.
Come to Newark and want to say anything.
Published by Princeton University Press in 2005.
Excuse me, you would not do this in another neighborhood. You only come here to do that. Don't come here to do that. Thank you. Go somewhere else and do that, not here. Thank you. Cassandra, I'm sorry, apologize.
Cassandra Dock. I think I want to be at 111 Mulberry Street tonight.
Okay.
Good evening. So, Kenyatta, I think you need to call the minister and tell him to come get this Negro on the second floor. Come get him. Come get him ASAP. Out of here. Somebody, get him. John, call your father, Mr. West, tell him to come get this Negro. Come get him. This Negro has taken us back 10 years of all the work we put in to get the AEIU, sometimes Y, that's what I call my Italian brothers and sisters, because you know their names end in vowels. The Don, Joe. Foot back on our neck. All those years we fought the North, back on our neck, back on our neck. All those years, somebody get this Negro. Now, you know I talk about all levels of government. So tonight I want to take us back to a couple of years ago when Elliott Street School burned down, and Don and I, because Rockmont had given us some space in 617, given us some space, so we used to meet over there. So our good friend Ramon came over there, because the parents had to be diverted, the students had to be diverted to all different schools in that North Ward who went to Elliott Street. So the parents were tired of doing that. So Ramon asked us if we come over and do a meeting. We went over, Donna led the meeting in English, somebody interpreted it in Spanish. The resolve was to have Senator Teresa Ruiz, along with the School Construction Authority, because that's what the name was before Governor Corzine and Governor Christie stole the money, to come out and rebuild that school. That school was rebuilt within a year, because those Puerto Ricans over there was not playing with her, and she rebuilt it. So a couple of months ago, she did a press conference not in front of, but a couple of blocks from West Side, Joe, talking about land banking. She's talking about the land that's already banked, ED, that land is banked. And it was banked for a Ron Bank. You know the secret meeting that I came across? Yeah, it's banked. This Negro on the second floor over here, banked it. What he should have did, what Senator Teresa Ruiz should have did, because they both former educators, they both should have said, you know what, we gave this land to Ron, but you know what, this land was banked for West Side. So you know what? We're going to give it back to West Side. Because the same way, when they came, those residents in the North came to her, and she rebuilt Elliott, the same way, I'm going to go to that PTA meeting and tell the parents of West Side, you know, the dark side, we want our land back. Joe, we want it back. And then if you look at the picture, let's talk about the $120 million. Because let me tell you something. Don't think Joe wanted to give that Negro that $120 million. See, Teresa Ruiz covers Belleville. She used to cover Hillside, because that used to be a part of her district. But she didn't want to do Hillside no more. So she probably asked
Beth O'Toole, you know, Beth, you know, some of y'all don't know Beth, but you know, we know Beth. And Steve Alabano's wife, who used to head that redistricting committee, take Hillside out and probably give her Belleville. But she didn't know it was going to come back to bite her, because when Belleville heard about that water, they wasn't playing. Them AEIOUs over there, sometime why, were not playing with her. That's why she gave that, and you can see in the picture. You can see in the picture, if you Google $120 million, she's standing there like this. You know what that means when a woman does that? I don't want this. I don't like it. Because Joe talked about the rating. If he had that rating in August of 2019, he had it 2 years ago when we first started talking about the water. He could have gave it then. I told y'all this Negro was going to privatize that water, didn't I? I knew that Negro was coming after this water because he in deep. He in deep now. And ain't nobody to help him. Can't help him. So, she did not, the reason why that $120 million came about, because she told Joe, these white people, two things white people don't play with, environment and pets. They don't play. So that's why we got that $120 million. So Senator Teresa Ruiz, you're going to be called to a meeting. You're going to be called to a meeting with West Side because you're going to give back that land. You and this Negro over here, because you should have saw him up there at the press conference doing the Mammy dance. Help me, Joe.
Thank you.
Help me.
Senator, thanks. Next speaker. All right.
Deborah Smith Gregory.
Next speaker. All right, thank you.
Deborah
Next speaker.
Smith Gregory.
Ms. McGregory. Not appearing.
Helena Freeman.
Ms. Freeman is here. All right. Senator, we want to listen to the speaker. Everybody listen to you. Hold on. All right, go ahead, Ms. Freeman.
Helene Freeman, 920 Broad Street, Councilman Ramos. If you can pay attention, a couple of issues. Are you familiar with the rent control changes? Are you aware of the settlement offer? And the proposals, since you've been dumbing down the rent control ordinance that Raz Baraka has been boasting and dumbing it down in favor of slumlords, I wanted to know, were you aware, since you don't want people who are having rent control issues to appear before City Council and that you want the courts to handle it, are you going to give them free legal representation? Are you ready to do that? And then that way you can usurp the rent control ordinance and make a settlement with Homes for All and provide legal representation for those people. And I'm concerned about the renters, as I am not a renter. I'm concerned that dumbing down the rent control ordinance is abusive to homeowners here in the city of Newark. Because when you live next to a slumlord, you're living in hell. And I have complained to many of you, especially you, Councilman Ramos, and Councilman Osborne. I had spoken with you directly. LaMonica, you're new, so you sort of get a pass about the rent control situation, but just because you abstain while the others support the dumbing down, the people that you go out and meet who are complaining about rent control issues need to be addressed. Now, the water issue, the water crisis. Are you ready to coordinate a meeting with the mayor and coalition members and the public to discuss? Because there are still people who are unaware of the water situation, even though you guys constantly drink out of water bottles. There are people who don't know about the water issue. And it's important, just like the woman was talking about giving out fruits and veggies. That is a way of leaching the lead from out of children's systems. And the elderly are also vulnerable to lead poisoning. Councilman Ramos, you're very astute about the elderly. They vote you in, and you've been here since 2006 on the elderly votes. They want clean water as well, yes. Now let's talk about disrespect. Tonight on my way to the meeting, I almost got run over by an obese man who was making an illegal turn right out in front of City Hall, 920 Broad Street. Almost ran me down, didn't stop. I cursed him out, of course, me being me. And he turns the corner, and I'm looking, and I see this morbidly obese man lumbering into here, City Hall. He works here. He works for the city. And trying to run me over, he doesn't know me, so it wasn't personal. He's just a complete idiot. And that brings me to Tariq Anque, who told me that I wasn't going to get services here in the city because my posts on my personal Facebook page are not always Raz friendly. It's not always council friendly. It's not friendly to a lot of different things. It's my personal page, and I will post what I want to. Maggie Pickett, on my way to pick up my water filters and my water, this, that, and the other, because I had poison water in my home, the highest lead levels, 47 parts per billion, I fell on city property and busted my lip, hurt my hand and busted my knee. I lumbered back to the building, and she's like, lock the door, lock the door. I was like, I need to use the ladies' room. Where's the ladies' room? Lock the ladies' room door, lock the ladies' room door. This is an employee of the city of Newark, therefore my employee de facto. That's right. How are you gonna lock me out of the ladies' room? I'm injured, I'm bleeding all over your office. I spat blood into a bucket that was near someone's desk. I really don't care because I was drowning in my own blood. She didn't try to assist me. The men in the building assisted me with like, we're gonna call you an ambulance. She's like, lock the door, lock the door. She's like, well, come and show me where you fell. I'm like, I'm covered in blood. Come and show you where I fell? Councilman Ramos?
Next speaker. Next speaker. We're listening to you. Thank you for
Marilyn Mars.
appearing.
Good evening. My name is Marilyn Mars. I'm a Newark resident and I live in the South Ward. I was a security officer at the Newark Housing Authority. I worked for Allied Universal Security for over 2 years, and I was let go on June 14th of this year. On June 14th in the morning at 12 noon, we were told that the contract would be terminated. And at 12 midnight, it was over. We weren't given any warning. We were just told that we were out of job. I like my job. And if you go back and ask about Marilyn Mars, known as Miss M, my residents used to call me, I was very professional in doing my job, and I respected those people, no matter how they were overdosed with drugs. Even though they cursed me out and I suffered a lot of verbal abuse, I never one day disrespect any of those residents, and I was out of job. I was working for $12.50 an hour, and I got good quality benefits because I'm a member of 32BJ Union. I was employed full-time and able to support my family. But God really had me as one of his favorites, because if it wasn't for me coming out to work with 32BJ on the brigade program, I don't know what would have happened to me. How would I have maintained my family? How I would have sent my daughter to school, and she's going to STEM Academy. So you understand the money that I have to find to pay for all those stuff, because she's a brilliant child. This job at 32BJ is only temporarily. and I'm fired from Newark Housing Authority, and it is very devastating for me. As I said, I have a family and kids. I have to pay rent, put food on the table, and pay my bills. You have already heard from one of my co-workers, Natasha, because she spoke here at one of these forums. Since she was fired, she has been forced to take a job making $2.50 less an hour. Now buying Pampers and formula for her 4-month-old goddaughter, who she takes care of, is very difficult for her. I've heard her, I heard what and it's really grieved my heart. Another one of my co-workers who was out on maternity leave, she returned only to be told that she's fired, she doesn't have a job. I am here to ask the council to introduce a resolution to support me and my other 35 officers who lose their job with Newark Housing Authority. We need to make sure that this never happens again. With passing this resolution, we hope that Newark Housing Authority urges the new contractors that they employ to take us back, those who were let go. Not only that, but this resolution will urge the Newark Housing Authority to pass a prevailing wage and benefit standard when it comes to contracting for building service work, as the city of Newark does. It will also protect displaced workers who are discharged without cause, and when a contract changes hands, which the city of Newark does too. Thank you for hearing me, my testimony today, and I hope you can support me and my former co-workers who are out of job today. Thank you.
Louis. Councilman James?
Ms. Mars, we have a good relationship with 32BJ, so my aide will get your information. We'll meet after the meeting or another time, because we don't know how long it's going to run. But I'll definitely sit down with you. Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Alberta Sharif.
Appearing.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Alberta Sharif, 46 Wilbur Avenue. I came tonight because I had a couple of questions about the water crisis, and it was my hope that this body could provide some answers. But after listening to the 18 people who spoke before me, I realized that this is probably not the right forum for me to present my questions, since I didn't hear you all respond to anyone. I therefore yield my time.
Thank you, thank you. Next. Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, that concludes the list.
Councilman James.
Ms. Sharif, I'll personally come to your house and we can discuss the water. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, Mr. President. I just want to very quickly speak a little bit about, I know we've heard a number of speakers in the last two meetings to talk about
this weekend.
The council supposedly trying to diminish the rent control ordinance on the city side, and I just want to remind the public that Newark probably has one of the most restrictive rent control laws in the entire country. You know, rent control increases are tied to the CPI. In order for a property owner to get a major new improvement increase, they have to invest a substantial amount of money, and the only change that the council made was the issue of whether or not the council wants to be the body that hears the appeals. And let me tell you, in the 6 years that this ordinance has been in place, the only appeals we've heard on the city council side has been from landlords. I do not recall one appeal coming before this body on behalf of residents and tenants. So I just want to reinforce the fact that our rent control law is heavily pro-tenant. That hasn't changed. And all the appeals that at least I've been witness to here in the years that I've been on the city council have been made by landlords to the city council, not by tenants.
May I respond? Yes.
Mr. President, that concludes the list of speakers.
Councilwoman Guyver would like to speak.
I just want to make a note that we had a couple of people mention information or make statements about the water, and we are having a town hall on the water. The state of the water is going to be October 2nd at NJPAC. If you need tickets, you need to contact our office. It's at NJPAC, so they require tickets. Everybody is admitted to get in, but it's for accounting purpose that we have to issue tickets. You can contact our office at 973-733-5870.
Excuse me. Excuse me, Council. Ms. Parker, please. We listen to you now. Councilwoman is responding, please. Go ahead, Councilwoman.
As I say at the end of every meeting, which I'm going to continue to say, for the people who are watching publicly, for the people who are watching here in the audience, I do apologize for anybody who may feel offended by some of the things that were said. This is a city government. This is not a show. This is not anybody's personal show. People are entitled to have their own opinions.
Let me have some order, please.
And this is the exact example of what we mean by order when we're talking. Everybody else can get up, they can make their statements, everybody is quiet.
Officers, we're going to request that people listen, because we listen to everyone. But this cannot continue to continue to happen. This pattern cannot continue to happen. We got a government to run. We have issues here with water lead. We have issues. And we're not here for a shouting match. This is not a shouting match. All right. Donna, we respect you, please.
As I was saying, and for the people that are viewing or here, it's your first time, this is exactly why, because we have to have order and be respectful to one another. Some people seem to think because we're in the city of Newark that we're going to be disrespectful to one another, but we don't have to operate like that. We can all be respectful to one another. We don't have to shout mean things about people, and we don't have to speak out of turn. And so that is our issue as a council regards to how we conduct the meetings here. Nobody should have to sit through insults. We do. We definitely have to sit through insults, and that's fine. But when we're talking, we shouldn't have to be disrespectful to one another. Everybody's entitled to whatever speech you want to say at the podium, but when other people are talking, we have to have some respect for one another. And so I always apologize to people, because a lot of people stop you on the street and they say, look, someone made this comment, they called us this, they called us that, and I feel offended. And as a person representing the city, we have to apologize for those comments being made. And a lot of people made reference to the holding the lie comment. Yes, us as me representing the Central Ward, yes, we hold the line with our colleagues and with our mayor, because it is our responsibility to find a solution, regardless of what your personal hatred is towards the mayor or anybody on this body, or even towards me. It is our responsibility
out of order.
To find a solution. We're not here to yell back and forth and get into a debate with people. We're here to find a solution. So for those who are tuned in, for those who are in this audience, if you have questions, if you want to know the state of our water here in the city of Newark, you are more than welcome to come out to the town hall that the mayor is hosting about our water. And that is going to be once again on October 2nd at NJPAC at 6:00 p.m. Do not let people scare you into what their own opinion is, because you need to know the facts. And that is what we're going to continue to preach here. That's what I'm going to continue to preach, because people should know the facts, regardless of what somebody feel about anybody on this dais or with our mayor. Learn the facts. Come out and definitely hear the facts. There are also the city's website, which I'm going to ask John to repeat the website, because I usually mess that up. But you can go to the city's website and gain any information you may need. If you're not sure about your lead service line, if you're not sure about your home, you can have your home tested, and we are still giving out free water. So, John, if you can give that website.
That's NewarkLeadServiceLine.com. All together. NewarkLeadServiceLine.com.
Okay.
Thank you, John. Right. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman James. Mr. Clerk, to the agenda, please.
Mr. President, that concludes the list of speakers for this evening. The next hearing of citizens will take place at the Public Council meeting of October 2nd, beginning at 12:30 p.m. here in the council chamber. To the regular agenda, Council of the Whole to change the order of business to consider 6 PS and FF at this time.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Mr. President, can I make a statement on this?
Councilman Osborne.
Yeah, I just want to make a brief statement before we address this item. Roughly 21 years ago, I sat at this council chamber in front row with over 100 union members demanding that the governing body address the need for a project labor agreement in Newark. I understood then, like I do now, that PLAs are both important and necessary. When a project labor agreement is in effect, it gives the project stability, it resolves union conflicts, it ensures inclusion, diversity, and safety, and most importantly, it provides an opportunity for training and advancement. I'm a lifelong resident of the city and been a union member for almost 30 years. I have never seen a PLA stop a project or pause development, but I have seen it provide gainful employment for thousands of construction workers. I would like to thank the Law Department, the Clerk's Office, and my colleagues for your patience while we worked out everyone's concerns. I believe I've heard them all, and at this point I'm ready to amend the definitions and place this item up for a vote. Thank you.
Yes.
Six PS and FF is an ordinance amending Title II, Administration, Chapter 4, General Administration, requiring apprenticeships and project labor agreements on certain public construction projects and construction projects for which financial incentives or benefits have been granted by amending the title, by incentives or benefits have been granted by amending the title, the definitions of developer and redevelopment projects, among other things, and increasing the scope of projects subject to the ordinance. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
Anyone appearing? Yeah, people up here. Okay. Go ahead, speak.
Good evening. My name is Nina Green, 22 9th Ave. The reason for me coming forth is to give a brief explanation on the importance of apprentices and PLA projects. I have been with the union for 5 years, coming through the apprenticeship program, working on several PLA jobs, and proud to say that I have a career now. I'm a journeywoman as I speak today. I'm not worried about health insurance, how I make ends meet, and more importantly, when my job is complete, unemployment won't be an issue because the union has my back, as y'all can see here. We stand together to build communities and one another every step of the way. I just ask that you all take these factors into consideration and grant PLA contracts within the upcoming redevelopments.
Thank you. Next speaker. Name and address, please.
Ahmed Sharif, 773 North 6th Street. I'm here to request that the board accept the PLA. Having a PLA on these, there's a lot of major construction work on paper. I've been here for several planning board meetings. I was here for the approval of the 53-story that's due to go up across the street. Without a PLA, the job really won't pan out for Newark residents. I stand here before you, a Newarker who lives and works in Newark. So do the individuals you see here that represent my local as well. There's more to it than what's here tonight. Many have come and left. There are many that are working. They work second shift or whatever, but there's a lot more to it than what you see here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Any other speakers? One more speaker.
Good evening. My name is Tara L. Travely. I reside in North Newark. I would like to thank the mayor, Roz Baraka, for creating a Women's in Construction program. I'm a recent grad from the training program for 2 weeks. I'm an apprentice currently, and I support the PLAs because it's gonna allow me to be it's gonna allow me to sustain income, jobs, for my future, to be able to be supportive. And I'm for PLAs. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, council and fellow citizens. My name is Brooke. I live in 10 Hawthorne Avenue. I'm also an apprentice in Local 3, and I did go also through the Women in Construction program. I want to thank you all for putting that program in place, as it has helped me provide for me and my family. I am in favor for these PLAs, and it's going to help us have more jobs here in the city for me and my fellow union members, and it's going to also provide more opportunities for women. Women do not have opportunities in non-union construction at all, and we're here to support that because that helps us. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Jamie Machado, 44 Sage Road, Toms River. I'm here to speak to you on behalf of my brothers and sisters from Local 3, more particularly the 300-plus families that Local 3 represents who are residents in Newark. First, I want to take the opportunity to thank Mayor Raz Barak for always being supportive of union labor and being supportive of this ordinance. I also want to thank Councilman Eddie Osborne for sponsoring the ordinance, and I'd like to thank Councilwoman LaMonica MacGyver for co-sponsoring the ordinance. And I'd like to thank the rest of the council for your consideration on voting in favor of this ordinance. Councilman Osborne said it in a nutshell before we were able to come up here and say it. Project labor agreements provide better wages on projects, safety on projects, better benefits, dignity, and a retirement plan, so that one day when we can't do this anymore, we can retire with dignity. Our unions provide us with pensions. They provide us with medical benefits for us and our families. Everyone should be supportive of that, especially in this city, the way it's growing and the amount of development that's going on. The only people that wouldn't be supportive are the leeches, which are the developers, who always want to go to the State House or come to the city with their hands out and ask for abatements, ask for funding from the state so they can build their projects. And in turn, they're not giving back to the community. They put 1 or 2 people on the job site just to showboat. But where do those people go afterwards? They go back to affirmative action looking for another job. They don't get taught real skills. You just heard testimony here from people who have gone to the program. An apprentice that was an apprentice, and now she's a journeywoman. You heard people that are coming into the women in construction, and they're going to have a future in this industry. But we can't do it unless more places start implementing project labor agreements. That's the one way to hold developers accountable, to make sure they do the right thing by all workers. And not to mention, this PLA does have a local hire ordinance that they have to meet. And as you can see by my fellow brothers and sisters in here, they all don't look like me. We're a diverse group. Speaking for the laborers, we are diverse. We expect everybody in here. So I hope you vote yes on this ordinance, and I appreciate your time and your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? One more speaker.
Let's ask the real questions. Donna Jackson, 128 Smith Street. Now let's get to the nitty and the gritty. We got affirmative action. We got First Source, Newark 1, Newark 7, now PLA. I'm not against it, but who's going to enforce it? You ain't enforcing what's on the book now. The only reason why this young lady doesn't have a contract and is already booming in the business, because there's no outlets for her to do that. She should have had a construction company by now. So I'm not going to stand here and clap because they was just rallying up on South Orange Avenue in Bergen because they weren't on that site. They're not across the street at the IHOP either. They're probably not going to be on the 50-story apartment building that you're building. Are they going to be on the 14-story one on South Orange Avenue in 10th Street, Joe? I'm going to see some of them. Are they going to be able to share stories of the buildings of Newark with their families? Are they? Are they going to be able to tell their grandchildren they built something here? Because we good for passing stuff. We horrible at enforcement. Y'all don't enforce nothing. So now who in charge of the enforcement? Because see, you're handing them a piece of paper, we blowing smoke up their behinds again. Who gonna do something? See, I don't work for the union. I say what I want to say. But that's a fact. You already have affirmative action, they ain't working. Airport, how many people out there? The train station on Fully-Hausen Avenue with the PATH train, how many people working out there? The renovation on the highways, how many people from Newark working out there? 280 expansion, 109 expansion, how many people working? 5,000 seat arena at NJIT. I talked to y'all about this 3 years ago. Not a Norco on there. We gonna keep letting these people get away with this? Maybe if we eliminate campaign contributions from building owners and business owners, then maybe the people could get some justice. I need to see somebody with some teeth that's going to enforce this, because that's my concern. I want to see all of them working because they can lend me $10 and I can keep doing this. That's why I'm up here. I'm advocating for them. You right? That's right. We want PLA. But I need an enforcer. I need an enforcer. And seriously, they deserve to be a part of this renaissance in Newark. The fact that they're here tonight means they might don't got to go to work in the morning. I want them all to be working. But who's going to hold this up? You only got 3 people in affirmative action room. Who's going to be the enforcer of the PLA? Please tell me tonight. Please assure them that when they're not working and these business owners don't do what they're supposed to do, that we're not going to let them keep paying into a fund so that they don't have to do it and our people are going to work. Because this is too much money in this town right now, $40 billion worth of construction. I should see some billionaires in this room.
That's it, thank you. Oh, 40. You're one.
Good afternoon, councilmen and ladies. My name is Richard Ingram. I'm a shop steward for Local 3. I've been doing this trade for almost 30 years. Eddie know me personally, okay? I ran NJIT Wellness Center, and I hired nothing but Newark residents there. And I made sure that that job was a PLA job. And I fight every day for this work for us. And I'm going to keep fighting until this thing is over with. And I really do, truly, really do support the PLA movement. So please, pass this bill for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If I may, just real quick, a statement was made, or a question was asked about enforcement of the PLA. For the record, right? I just, third week of July, completed 50 Rector Park, AKA the Shack building. All right, as far as enforcement for Local 3, building trade laborers, if I'm the shop steward on the job, I'm the enforcer. Because when more laborers are needed, I'm the one that makes the call and requests Newark residents. So the enforcement lies with Newark residents being on the job to see to it that other Newark residents get to the job.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any other speakers?
Good evening. My name is Lou Sancio. I'm the director of the New Jersey Alliance for Competitive Contracting. We're a group that monitors prevailing wage job sites and public contractors throughout the state. I know there was a question earlier about who monitors project labor agreements. There are built-in protections in project labor agreements, including this one, that guarantees internal review and strict adherence to the PLA. Also, there are local hire requirements here. The laborers, at least, are going very seriously, going into trying to make sure that these hiring targets, local hiring targets, are not only met, but they are exceeded. We've started. We have started apprenticeship programs for local people. We've brought in many new apprentices, as you've seen here today, from Newark. And also, Newark has always had a strong union background here. We have many of our long-term members here. Originally I'm a laborer. I'm from Jersey City. I'm a 32-year member. And we have other members here that have been doing this for much, much longer. So There are plenty of ways for the project labor agreement. Thank you.
Already gonna vote for it.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamil Reed, Newark resident, and I am in favor for the PLA. And I appreciate the PLA, and I appreciate you guys taking the time out. And this is no disrespect to my brother, to my union brothers and sisters, but I appreciate the statement that the question that you asked Donna, is that who's going to enforce it, right? I am a Newark resident and been all my life, right? I joined the union with pride. I'm a certified shop steward. And I was on that project down on Rector Street when these contractors came from out of state and came down there, and I had a problem with one of the informants down there, and nobody had my back. Because I wouldn't allow some joker to talk to me any kind of way that he wanted to and then threaten my job and my life. And yes, I give props to David Muhammad, who came down and made him talk, and he introduced me to the development and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, because I stood up for myself, I lost that job. And the joker who told me, just because I didn't want to do what he wanted me to do, or bow the way he wanted me to bow, he told me, that's why you and your family ain't going to eat. And those words got me to lose my job. And I was out of work, and that joker stayed at work, and nobody did nothing. So we need somebody to enforce. I ran through City Hall talking to everybody about this guy down here, out of town. It got me out of work. And then they did some old dope fiend move, right, towards the end of the job, brought me back down for a week just to say they brought me back because of all of the chaos that I was making. So yes, it needs to be enforced. And brothers and sisters, this is no disrespect to y'all, but at the end of the day, we need to be protected. And I ain't worried about no consequences, because I'm a man and I'm going to stand up for myself.
Next speaker.
Good evening, Council. My name is Freddie Batchelor, but I'm speaking as a specialist in enforcement of 30 years with the United States government. I worked in development, construction, all over the 52 states of the United States, labor unions, you name it. And talking about PLA, worked with Department of Labor. I have never seen any, and I work with many development companies. When you come to people like these men and women here in this audience and construction sites, David Bacon Act and other things, there should and they're supposed to be, even by law with many of these development companies, oversight of hiring of some of these men and women in this audience. And in the city of Newark, as well as the state, I have 30 years of experience in it. Retired public trust officer, so I know what I'm talking about. So yes, I am for the PLA with oversight of the agreement by this body, like everywhere else. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Clerk, that's the last of the speakers.
No other speakers. Councilman Osborne wishes to make a motion to amend. Do I have a second for amending? Roll call to amend.
Roll call. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Now the same mover and second to adopt, vote.
Roll call.
Approve as adopted. Adopt as amended.
Yeah, could I ask a question, Mr.
Yeah,
Clerk?
Council.
This come up on the agenda one more time because of the amendment, or?
Yes, after the roll call, I'll explain that. After the roll call, I will make that statement.
Bless you. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. President, because this item has been amended, Mr. President, because this item has been amended on second reading, it must be re-advertised with all of the
Excuse me.
changes.
Let's have some order before,
It must be re-advertised with the changes, and a public hearing will take place at the Public Council meeting of October the 2nd, beginning at 12:30 p.m. here in the council chamber.
Mr. President.
Yes, Council Ramos.
Yeah, could I request through your chair and the clerk that, I want to thank Councilman Osborne for, first of all, sponsoring this, but I'd like for us to have an opportunity to get a full presentation prior to adoption. We've had a PLA for many years. What this ordinance does, it attempts to eliminate some of the loopholes that have been used around the state to challenge, some of the local PLA laws. And I would like through your chair and the clerk for Councilman Osborne to bring some of the individuals who work with him on preparing this legislation to give us a detailed presentation as to what this does to change what we had previously approved as it relates to the PLA. And the second thing, I wasn't here yesterday for the but I believe that we should have, also some kind of presentation from the city's economic development director as far as her position related to the changes in the PLA ordinance. I'm not sure if she came before this body yesterday, but I do believe that it's important for us to hear from her because ultimately she's going to be the lead person on the administration side that's going to have to work on enforcing some of these requirements.
Mr. Clerk, as noted, and then Councilman, go ahead.
I just want to say, in listening to some of the speakers talking about the enforcement, I have a very grave concern about enforcement. We've all seen this over and over again where workers be on the site and they get thrown off for any little simple reason. And so I agree with the presentation. I want to get some explanation on how they're going to enforce the PLA, because this happens over and over and over again, and it's very frustrating for me to see it. And the question was asked earlier if you guys will be working on the site on 10th Street and South Orange Avenue, and the answer to that is yes. And the answer to the question to any project in the West Ward that gets public funds is yes. And I do the enforcement myself. But citywide, we have to make sure. Yeah, I go myself to sites, and you guys know I fight every day for you guys to be on the site, because I'm working with Wayne Richardson or whoever, Eddie, to make sure that you guys are on sites in the West Ward as much as I can. But I don't want to be the one responsible to have to do it by myself, so I want them to come and explain how we're going to enforce this PLA agreement.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Back to
Our agenda.
To the regular agenda. We are on page 4. Council of the whole to accept the reports of the boards and commissions.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And Chair, Mr. Clerk.
Ordinance on public hearing, second reading and final passage, 6 PSNF-A is an ordinance entitled Certificate of Code Compliance Required Upon a New Tenancy, and establishes a requirement for inspection of a rental unit utilizing from form of rental assistance or rental subsidy by the sponsoring agency before certification of code compliance is issued. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
Anyone appearing? Donna's appearing.
Down to Jackson, 128 Smith Street. So, question, are we superseding or working in conjunction with HUD inspections? Are we superseding or working with the County of Essex, who issues the TRA? Are we working with creating a new inspection process for people renting apartments? Is that what this is driving toward? And if so, that's a good thing. And I hope that the city works with landlords, because I know you won't answer me now, so that's fine. Works with landlords who may be having some issues in their apartments. Works with landlords who have been trying to get money to do renovations and fix-ups in their apartments, long-term Norkers. I'm not talking about the new ones that just got here with all this money, but people who have been in their houses 10, 15, 20, 25 years. I hope that we're not going to use this to go into their apartments and then put all kinds of liens and code enforcement violations on them without giving Norkers. I don't care about the people that don't live here, the non-responsive landlords, but the Norkers. See, for me, I see this as an attack on Norkers who already own homes. I don't have a problem with us doing inspections, we should. But we should give Norkers the benefit, particularly if you're going into an elder's home, maybe a two-family, they're moving somebody in on the second floor to try to make means with the mortgage. We don't have the senior home improvement program anymore, so we need to work with people that live here, Newark homeowners. I'm not worried about the rest of them because they got money. Mr. Rabinowitz and them is good to go. They could pay a fine. We need that money. But I'm talking about Newark homeowners. We need to work with them on this. And I hope, so are we working in, Councilman, I'm going to defer to you, but is this in conjunction with HUD for the Section 8? Because I see it says for rental assistance and Section 8. So are we working with them to do this or not? I'm done.
For any apartment that is vacated, it has to be inspected before the new tenant comes in. So it doesn't matter if it's Section 8 or whatever it is. So every apartment that is vacant has to be inspected once the tenant leaves.
Mr. President.
By the city.
Yeah.
And can I just ask one quick question?
Could I just, before you go on, Donna,
No, just
I think Donna brings up a good point, and something that I mentioned previously when this ordinance was introduced, and that is that, you know, before someone that's receiving TANF or general assistance benefits on the county welfare side, and receiving TRA, before they're able to rent an apartment, there is a pretty comprehensive inspection that's done of that vacant unit before that tenant is authorized to receive the TRA benefit. You know, the same is true with individual Section 8. So the question becomes, you know, is that inspection valid or transferable as part of the city's now required inspection? Because I guarantee you that with the stuff they're looking at is a lot more comprehensive than what's in our ordinance. So there should be an opportunity, and that's something for the administration to kind of figure out, for that data to be useful. Because if they're going to come in and they're going to do a lot of this legwork, there's really no need for us to have to send code enforcement to go out there and do it. The one thing I want to say, and I want to thank the administration, specifically Corp Counsel, for incorporating a few changes that I had suggested, and one was the issue of whether, you know, if the inspection isn't done within 10 days, that there's a temporary certificate of approval that's issued, and then that the 10-day period can start prior to the tenant vacating their apartment. Again, I want to reiterate that I don't believe we have the capacity as far as staffing to handle this responsibility. And that's a big concern, and I really think we should reevaluate this in 6 months and a year to see if it is creating, you know, a burden on prospective tenants. It's not even about landlords. These are people that are looking to rent apartments, and you know, the inability of the city to be able to go out there and potentially do some of these inspections, it could create some major problems out there. So,
and if I just got a quick one, and please keep. I had 20 seconds. The question just is, how will we know the apartment is vacant? Like, how will you know that I moved out on June 15th, and then Mr. Lev is trying to move? How do you know they're empty?
They typically have to register that with the rent control office. So they would probably be the ones that flag that there is a vacant unit.
There should be reciprocity with the other entities. Let's say Section 8 and the TRAs. There should be reciprocity so that we don't duplicate what they are doing. If they are doing a thorough inspection, why go there and repeat the work?
Okay. Thank you. Next speaker.
Let me just finish my note real quick. Thank you. You not take.
Thank you. Donna. Next speaker.
Dion McCutcheon, Newark Matters. I'm going to go from memory. I had my notes for the prior meeting, but I'm going to go from memory because there was something erroneous with this. There was something with regard to a landlord, oh my God, before a tenant could move in, I can't get this right. My notes are on, I'm going to get this right before the time expires. There is no time frame in which the landlord is to notify the city that the occupant has moved. All right. The enforcement people are given 10 days. If they forget to make, it's coming back. If the enforcement people forget to make the inspection, the landlord is offered, from what I read, a temporary certification. All right? And then the landlord, it has not been given some type of parameter to let the city know. The city needs to let the landlord look. When a tenant leaves, you need to notify us when that tenant leaves, and you have a certain amount of days to, instead of it being temporary, to make it permanent. Again, this is in my notes. I didn't bring that. I didn't know this was even on here. But did that make any relevant sense? There's a time frame for the enforcement people to do what they have to do, and there's a time frame for somebody else, but you don't give the landlord a time frame to notify people that the tenant is gone and that they need to process some paperwork so that a new tenant can move in. I got it. There was something wrong with this. It's a loophole. Has that been solved? Did I get this right? Wow, I didn't bring my notes. In any event, there's something wrong with this because the landlord is not being made to notify whomever they need, the enforcement, that a tenant moved out. I need to an application process to let them know to move in. Did I get that right? All right, in any event, I'm done. I don't have my notes. I didn't know this was on.
Next speaker.
Yes, and
Name and address.
Name and
I'm
address.
sorry, Freddie Batchelor. I live at 308 South 11th Street in the West Ward here in Newark. But again, I'm speaking out of my capacity of working with HUD and doing inspections and retired. Really, many times you cannot depend on the HUD inspection because it is extensive, known as REACT, Real Estate Assessment Caveat. That's what we used to call it. And yes, it is extensive, but it's different categories. Tenants move in, Section 8, TRA, but those tenants that do not have that, it needs to be something done in regards to that. Because my apartment, when I moved in it, you know what my question was? What city inspector came in here and did the quality check on this apartment? Because there's a lot of things missing. And I know when I look around, a lot of things are occurring where city inspection needs to occur. Now, in the beginning, in the middle, and the end. And that would assist a lot of tenants from being displaced because of slum landlords. So somewhere besides Section 8, the government, the city needs to do additional inspections. Thank you.
No other speakers?
No other speakers? Motion.
Oh, hold on. The Corporation Counsel will speak. No other speakers, but he will speak.
Sure. Just for the record, Kenyatta Stewart, City of Newark Corporation Counsel. So, as mentioned earlier, and I think it's important to note, the landlords have an opportunity to start the process to try to get the place inspected within 30 days of the end of the lease. So that's one aspect of it, to try to help landlords out. But on the other hand, the landlord, if he or she cannot get the inspection done, as Councilman Ramos suggested, that person can get the temporary done, and the temporary is there for 30 days. So the landlord has 30 days to get it done. Of course, the city has to make sure that we provide the resources to have the place inspected within the 30 days. So what we're doing is doing the protection to give you notice earlier on, and we're also doing what we have to do to make sure it's done sooner than later.
Yeah, but Kenyatta, could I Mr. President, can you just make sure that there's some kind of provision in place that if there's an inspection that's done by HUD or county welfare for TRA purposes, that that inspection report get filed and can substitute any local inspection that's necessary? Because that's going to eliminate, a lot of work for your code enforcement folks. Because they're going to go out there and they're just going to duplicate some of the inspection items that these folks have already done. And they're not going to allow anybody to move in until those repairs are made for at least with those subsidies, so.
Okay.
All right,
Certainly.
I'm not clear even in the ordinance that's in there, and that may have to be like a policy that's enacted in order for these inspections to
move faster.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Clark?
No other speakers? Motion to close the public hearing and adopt. Council of the whole?
Abstain.
Yes.
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 Yes. Continue, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, we need a redo on this one. I have a motion to reconsider. Council of the whole?
Reconsider?
The inspection ordinance. We have
Why is that?
we have a document which includes changes to the ordinance which the council needs to adopt.
All right.
Motion to reconsider?
Reconsider.
What changes are those?
The changes was from yesterday. Council President?
Yes,
We had talked about changing about the new construction, remember?
5 years.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
5 years. Go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
Motion, roll call to reconsider.
Yes.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yes.
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 The amendment is in your package. The council of the whole to amend to incorporate the changes provided by Corporation Council.
Roll call.
Council of the whole.
Abstain.
Yes.
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 Now, same council of the whole to adopt as amended.
Abstain.
Yes.
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 Mr. President, because this item is on second reading and we are amending it, it must be re-advertised and a public hearing will be held at the council meeting of October the 2nd, beginning at 12:30 p.m. here in the council chamber. 6 PSNF B would add a new chapter entitled Use of Plastic Bags Prohibited. Councilwoman MacGyver wishes to table, second by Councilman Gonzalez.
Mr. President?
Yes, Councilwoman.
I had a meeting with the Corporation Council as well as the People's Assembly today in regards to why we were wanting to table it, and we are already setting up the meetings per ward, so I would like to request for it to be deferred instead of tabled.
Councilman Gonzalez, with the pleasure. All right. A seconder, a mover and a seconder.
Roll call to defer.
Defer?
Yes.
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 Mr. President?
Yeah, Madam, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
I just want to, I'm glad to see that this isn't being acted on today, and I'm hopeful again that this council would consider waiting on, I really believe that the state's close to enacting some kind of restriction or ban on plastic bags. I think it's been articulated that having a local ban itself, sometimes it's not even effective because you have surrounding communities that don't have bans in place. And this is not necessarily going to help reduce some of the waste that we're trying to attack as a result of the plastic ban. But I really believe that the state should take action, and maybe this council should consider some kind of resolution urging them to do so that everybody's playing on a level playing field when it comes to some of the restrictions, and it applies to every municipality, just not a few. So.
Mr. President.
Yes, Councilman Gonzalez.
Yeah, that was my point yesterday, exactly that we have a patchwork of ordinances in towns around the city of Newark, and I believe it would be more effective if the state were to regulate the use of plastic bags. And I understand that there is a piece of legislation, let's say, taking place at the state level that is going to do that. And I strongly believe that as mentioned by Councilman Ramos, we have a lot of towns around us that do not ban the bags, and it's going to be very difficult for us to enforce the ban in the city of Newark. But I believe that as a beginning point, we have to do something, and I believe that's why I am supporting it. But I believe that eventually we will have to defer to the state so that the state regulates it at the state level.
Yeah, Mr. Clerk, also said yesterday that, there's a language barrier, and folks don't understand. So when we have these meetings, we need to have some kind of communication to Portuguese, Brazilian, Hispanics around the city about what's occurring, because there's no translation of anything what's occurring. So we need to be mindful of that.
Yes, sir.
In terms of the hearings.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
6 PSNFC is a refunding bond ordinance. This is $88 million. Council of the whole to defer action at this time. We are awaiting local finance board approval. Public hearing will remain open.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
D is a refunding bond ordinance. This is $30 million. Council of the whole to defer action at this time. We are awaiting local finance board approval. The public hearing will remain open.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
E is a refunding bond ordinance. This is $5.5 million. Council of the whole to defer action at this time. We are awaiting local finance board approval.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
We have disposed of F. G is a ordinance granting a tax exemption to the Makerhoods Urban Renewal LLC for a project to construct a mixed-use complex consisting of 66 units of housing, including affordable housing. Council of the whole to defer action until the special meeting of September 24th.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
H is a refunding bond ordinance for the funding Jersey related for payments to the cost of lead service line replacement approaching $120 million, and authorizing the issuance of a $120 million refunding bond and/or notes of the City of Newark financing the cost thereof. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
Somewhere appearing.
So my, Dion McCutcheon, Newark Matters. Unlike a lot of the sentiment that has been presented tonight regarding this, I'm all for this. If this is going to, I think, is this the money that's going to solve the problem with the piping? Yeah. I'm all for this. I mean, I'm like, hey, whatever it takes. In fact, I was going to make a presentation. I'm going to go with my presentation that I had planned. I'm going to talk about it now. Instead of just, replacing the lights, the lead issue, what about rust? What about aluminum, copper? Let's test for all of the metals that might be a problem in the water system. But I'm all for this. Let's get it done as quick as possible. If you can find a way to get more money and get it done quicker, I'm with that. I'm with that. I'm tired of seeing in the city of Newark, in the newspaper on the negative. I'd love to see this guy, I shouldn't even mention his name, from MSNBC. I'm not going to mention his name. I might even stop watching his show. But I'm tired of outsiders talking about Newark in a light that doesn't really depict what Newark is about, in my opinion. So if there's some way you guys can double that money and get it done quicker, whatever type of ordinance, I'm with it. So yeah, let's get this lead problem out the way and start getting more positive things in the newspaper about Newark. Just more positive things and shine some light. Like Newark is taking the initiative to solve this problem quicker. Newark is taking the initiative to do anything that dispels what the outsiders, who probably are scared to walk the city after 8 o'clock at night, maybe 6 o'clock, faking this concern about Newark on MSNBC. Again, I'm all for this. Let's get this problem done and let the rest of the world know, hey, we're on top of this. And by the way, who are you to be talking about my city? You know what I mean? Like, your community or your little town or wherever it is in Florida Park or Mendemel Park, wherever it is, you're not even significant enough. We don't even know if you have water lines. So let me stop. I'm joking with all of that. In any event, I'm for this. Let's make it happen. Let's get it done. Let's get some positive news in the newspapers around the country instead of this, in my opinion, wait a minute. You know what's more amazing? They're calling it a crisis, but from what I read, there were only 2 people that complained about their pure filters. Only 2 people complained. Now, we don't know if they changed them properly. We don't know how they're living. They might be people that live, got roaches and mice and all of that. We don't know if they're taking care of their filters. I don't consider this a crisis. I consider it a small incident.
Oh, wow.
Well, Mr. McCutcheon, you just gave one for the team. They happy with you now. Let me explain why this is not a good thing. First of all, there is a payment on this. If we can do this ourselves, we need to do it ourselves. So if y'all understand what's going on here, we got at least $500 billion worth of property without water. There was no need for us to take a loan. We could have financed this on our own. You could have financed the Bear Mountain property. You could have financed the watershed. You could have financed some of that Port Authority land we own. The lack of thinking outside the box is getting us into a payment to 2047. That's going to cost us $2 billion. Do the math. This year is 5%. Next year it's going to go to 7%. And next year they can sell the bond. Did y'all read that part? Also, while they're digging up the streets, do y'all realize asbestos is down there? Do you understand that we crapping up all other kind of stuff? No, we don't like the headlines. But we ain't been truthful yet either. You guys are mailing out those acid violation notices, not Donna. So if you don't know how to read them, then y'all need to bring the experts in. And let somebody explain to Norkers and explain to you who don't know what hallucinogenic acid is, trimethazine, whatever the heck that is, why there's all kinds of gases and other things going on in the water, because it is. And you're mailing that out to people. We don't know if that's accurate because you're taking the test results from the lab and putting them on a piece of paper. Secondly, is $120 million enough? You guys don't even know how many lead service lines there are in the city. Because guess what? The records at the water department are incomplete. At least the mayor of, down South Jersey there with a B, Bordentown, somewhere in that area, the black mayor, had the guts to say, we don't know. We're saying it's only 18,000. You don't know how many there are. You don't know how many in the East. Your expert in court said there's 18,000 lead service lines in the East Ward. That's what he said. So I'm just saying, let's get some accurate information first before y'all get all happy. $120 million is not going to replace all the lead service lines. And guess what? Lead is not the only contaminant we got. So y'all going to keep holding the line, but this is not a good deal. Newark should not pay $120 million when we're making a $30 million profit off the water every year. What are y'all doing with that money? So you've been in place now 5 years under this team. At $30 million a year, that's $150 million. Y'all could have financed this. What y'all doing with the money? The $120 million, which is only going to be $94 million after the service fees, is going into the general fund. Are we sure that y'all going to spend this money on lead service lines once it gets to the general fund? No, we're not. Public trust does not trust.
Let me just piggyback real quick on that. Cassandra Dock, I think I'm gonna do 920 Broad Street. And let me just piggyback off of Donna. That's the problem with
Your name?
Cassandra Dock, 920 Broad Street tonight, yeah, Ken Gibson Boulevard. And that's what it is with this $120 million. It's the trust. Nobody trusts you. We don't trust Joe. You think we trust Joe? We don't. We don't trust Joe. We already had the press conference. We don't trust the fact that Joe said, well, the county is on the hook for the bond. We don't even trust that. Because for me, the real issue is this is the way to do what they tried to do for many, many years under Corey, is to privatize that water. And we don't trust Raz. We don't trust what he says. And that's unfortunate. So we really think that this $120 million is really going to put this city in a real bad position. And unfortunately, I don't know why nobody won't have it, but Augie probably will, because Augie will probably say anything to him. Augie, I'm very surprised you're not telling the second floor that it's not a good deal, because I don't think you think it's a good deal. I really don't. You probably the only one up there, because everybody else up there saying the mayor. Shut what we call up, because nobody is listening to a certain person who just came on the scene. We've been fighting this a long time. You wasn't even around. You wasn't even when we was doing a petition trying to save the water. Shut what we call up when we talking about certain things. Certain things you could talk up, you could respond to, but certain things you got to shut your mouth because you was not there. So this $120 million is not a good deal. It's not. So somebody needs to tell him and stop letting him manipulate conversations. That's why we're in the situation that we're in, because he does that, and he's been doing it. We have to watch it. I love Joe, but we have to watch it. You have to watch Joe.
Mr. President.
Yeah,
Councilman, let me clarify.
The councilman wanted to speak before.
Okay.
I'll give you my spot. Go ahead.
Clarify 2 points because somebody mentioned that, Donna mentioned that the water department makes a profit of $30 million a year. If you had the facts, you would be dangerous, but you don't have the facts. The other thing is,
You said that before when she told you something.
the other, and I'm repeating it because she's not telling the facts. The other thing is that she said that it would cost the city $2 billion. It will not cost $2 billion, never in life. It would cost the city, at 4%, it would cost more or less $160 million for the 120.
All right.
Council.
All right. Donna.
If you had the facts, you would be dangerous.
Donna. Okay, you had your time. Let's go, Councilman.
I want to thank Councilman Gonzalez for that comment. Thank you so much. That saves me that. I just want to take the time to thank our mayor.
Sandra, please.
I just want to take the time to thank our mayor and the county, as well as everybody who came together to make this bond happen. I also want to thank Mr. Dion for your comments. Thank you so much, because that is what I've been preaching every day that we have to find a solution. And I just want to thank all those who have come together to find a solution for the betterment of everybody in our city who is suffering from lead service lines at this point, and we want a fix. So thank you to everybody who came together to make this happen.
All right. Mr. Clerk. Closing of the...
No other speakers. Motion to close the public hearing and adopt. Council of the whole?
Roll call. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Montana.
'Yes.
6 PS and FI.
Cassandra, please. Thank you.
Ordinance which amends business special permits for making certain amendments to improve the special events permit process. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Yes, Council Ramos.
Yeah, I just want to mention what I mentioned at the last meeting during motions, that essentially by agreeing to this ordinance, the council gives up their right to sponsor events, right, which we have historically done. I don't have an issue with that, because I understand, every time there's an event, it's at a cost to the city, whether it's police and neighborhood services. But I also believe that there needs to be something added in this ordinance that if the administration decides to waive the fees for a particular event, that should be done via resolution of this council, because it's not fair that this body gives up their right to sponsor events and the administration has the authority to waive fees for events. So, I think we all have to play, by the same rules. So I really would like to see through the chair, the clerk, and the law department for some amendment to be included, that if there is the desire from the administration to waive fees for any event, that it's possible, but it should be done via resolution.
Mr. Clerk, as noted by Councilman Ramos, now Councilman Amador.
Amendment? I'll second that.
As the author, one of the folks involved in the changes that took place since this was first introduced, I totally agree with Councilman Ramos' position, but I changed it from fees to cost, which I think is cost.
The cost, yeah, that's what I meant.
Which I think it's more important is the cost.
Yeah, because the fee, we have the authority to waive.
I would like to see the council aware of any waiving done by the administration on the cost of any special event.
Police and...
Aware and vote on it. So my suggestion is to defer this and make the change and bring it back.
Mr. Clerk, yeah, Councilman.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with my colleagues. I just don't see the point, because I don't see how expensive it was in the first place. I sponsored a few events each year to certain organizations or certain churches, and it benefits the community. It doesn't benefit me. And to give up that right and not be able to do these things and virtually have to beg to do a special event and go jump through hoops, I don't agree with it. And so I won't be supporting this.
All right. Mr. Clerk, the wish of this governing body is to defer. Yeah, yes,
It's
the
ridiculous.
business administrator.
We've had the same thing for years. All of a sudden,
All right,
this
that
becomes
would be
an issue.
Sure,
business administrator.
Council President Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. I'm not sure if some of the impetus for this discussion about how it is costs or fees are waived is brought about by, I think, a misperception that fees for the Dominican parade were waived, or the Puerto Rican Day parade were waived, or the Brazilian festival was waived. There was apparently some miscommunication between the permitting department and the administration, and I personally got involved, and those fees were not waived. The costs and fees have not been waived. We have entered into a payment agreement, and each of those entities is going to make full payment for the above-base costs that were supposed to take place. And that was pursuant to a discussion I had with certain of the council members. I wasn't aware of it. I looked into it, and I agree that we have to, it has to be equitable across the board as best possible, and we have done that. and I will continue to monitor it myself. In fact, I've implemented a policy where no costs or fees can be waived by the administration unless they're signed off on by the business administrator's office. That's a policy.
Councilman Ramos and Councilman Amador.
And I just want to publicly thank Eric because he did follow up right away. And I also want to commend the mayor because I did reach out to him. But I do believe that if we enact some kind of policy within this ordinance, you know, it virtually doesn't eliminate it, but it creates a process that's open in case there is the potential of waiving, you know, any kinds of costs associated with these parades and festivals. You know, if it's a desire of the administration to do so, then it's done via resolution. And then the public's aware and everyone's on the same page that there was a particular a subsidy that was issued. I even had suggested to the BA that there should be a fund through the Recreation Department that's set aside, and that you create an application process so that every year these various cultural groups that want to do events, they apply to the city for some support to help offset, you know, some of the costs that may be associated with doing these events. You know, these events are beneficial to the city. It does attract a lot of visitors to town. It provides, you know, different cultural opportunities for our residents, but we should have some kind of process in place where we can provide, you know, support up to a certain amount of money to help some of these groups do what they normally do, and have an open process so that everybody's aware of when that application's available, and at the same time we vote on the levels of support that we're providing to these various groups.
The reason why we are discussing this is precisely based on your point. In order to avoid you coming to justify that, for example, the Puerto Rican parade or the Dominican parade or whatever took place did not pay their fair share of the cost, in order to make it transparent and fair to everyone, we need to make sure that this body represents the people know in advance that, and we have the right to vote on eliminating a charge related to the cost of a particular event. No one is doubting whatever you stated. What we want is the ability to know that when we vote for something, doesn't get changed along the way because of personal relationships. That's all we're saying.
Okay. We should have, I mean, we should have this conversation on Tuesday. I mean, to prolong this, you know, it's deferred, so we're on Tuesday, and we could put our hats and then get together and decide how we're going to go about this, all right? So clerk, let's call the vote to defer, please.
Are we deferring to the special, or are we deferring to the next regular meeting?
What is the wish of this body? To the special?
We don't have, I don't think they will have time to consider amendments.
All right, so
to the next regular meeting.
To the regular meeting of October the 2nd. Thank you.
Roll call, council of the whole to defer.
Yes.
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 Yes. Clerk?
6 PSNFJs would provide provisions for legal services in eviction proceedings to expand the pool of eligible providers of legal services against other charges, amongst other changes. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
Someone appearing?
Dion McCutcheon, Newark Matters, defending the aged, disabled, homeless, poor, and defenseless. Emphasis on defenseless. If I'm totally in agreement with this. If I read this correctly, if you're trying to increase legal services for residents, to not be evicted, I think that's a fantastic idea, because I am living in a situation where a lot of the tenants where I live are being illegally evicted, because sadly, a lot of them aren't educated
I shouldn't say that, a lot of them are not aware of the simple housing laws, such as something that's very simple, that you cannot be evicted, unless you're evicted by the court system. Some people have received letters from my landlord that's saying if you don't remove your items within 30 days, whatever, you have to move your stuff. And I keep telling them, listen, the only person that can evict you in the state of New Jersey is a court system and an order from a court, an order from a judge. So I'm seeing a lot of people become homeless, which is not a good thing, because they are not properly represented, because they are not being defended properly. If I'm reading this correctly, if you're going to expand the pool, expand it to the extent that every person, expand it, exponentially, if you can, because I'm tired of seeing my neighbors, in particular, there's a hotel that lives right down the street from me, where they're coming to me actually, and I'm telling them, but for some reason they are fearful of, I don't know what the problem is. I'm telling them, you cannot be evicted by this letter. You can only be evicted in the state of New Jersey by the courts, by a judge that's going to issue an order. But because of the lack of education of that simple thing, people are being evicted. So if you can expand this exponentially to defend people who are poor, people who are less educated than others, please do so. Because that's a serious, in my opinion, a very serious problem. And whatever, in my opinion, I'm saying to whatever cost it may incur. That will eliminate a lot of people living in shelters, a lot of people basically just being on the street. If they had the proper defense, like for me, I don't have a problem with landlords and stuff because I don't particularly play games, and my writing skill is exceptional. And I've actually read a lot of the housing laws, so I'm not one, but a lot of people in the city of Newark are not like me.
Next speaker.
Cassandra Dopp, 920 Broad Street. So let me make sure I understand this, because I talked about this before, the fact that up at Superior Court with the eviction, right, from my understanding, and this from talking to a court officer, the only person that can evict someone is a court officer, not a constable, but a court officer. So when you talk about, excuse me, that's true, right? So here's what's happening. Constables, the ones that you guys are just, what are you doing? What do you call it? The constables that you guys are just allowed to be constable, because I can't think of the word I'm looking for right now. That you're appointing. They are, just like this gentleman just said, and I had to get involved. This is how I found that they're doing it. They are acting like they're a court officer. They are going to people's home with Newark police officers and trying to escort people out of their homes with these fake papers. In fact, they're using the name of the previous person that was, in one case, evicted to try to evict a tenant. So you need to have a conversation with your constables to let them know they do not have the authority to evict nobody. So we know that there's a father and daughter who are court officers because they kicked the Cole family out, and there was the only black left because they already got rid of the other black man, I can't think of his name, years ago. So we don't even have no black court officers in Essex County. No, we don't have none. We don't have none. So I hope somebody had the conversation with Amy DePaul, and I hope you guys, when you expand this, have that conversation. We have no black court officers, none. The only one we had, we won't even, she has the skill set, she has the credentials, and they won't allow her to take Mr. Cole, and I know you know him, John. His daughter has the credentials, she has the, she could be a court officer. They won't even allow her. They'd rather let a father and daughter take up two positions rather than allow her, to diversify it a little bit. So you need to, I will give you her phone number because somebody needs to reach out to her, because I brought this to your attention, months ago. So when you talk about expanding, who's doing the expanding? The administration, you guys, who's doing the expanding? Who's doing it? Who brought this ordinance forth? Because I didn't even look. It's under what? Administration, council? What department brought this forth? Well, who's on it? Who's on it, Lou? The law department.
Administration.
Okay, so then I need to know from you, okay, because I'm gonna talk to you then. Because when you talk about expanding it, you got to have that conversation with them constables. They do not have, and don't take no police officers to nobody's house. Talk about evicting them. So I'm gonna talk to you, Kenyatta.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker.
Freddie Batchelor, 308 South 11th Street, and I'm in favor of expansion, and I'll tell you why. Because of my experience of 30 years, I'm currently assisting 3 elderly people, I'm not going to name their names, that came to me. One was living out of their car. The second one is involved with a situation with a co-op that used to be HUD, something involved with HUD, and the other one also, again, they're about to be homeless. But the situation is, when I went with them to check the records, number one, there is a lot of fraud going on because a lot of owners are not true owners that are going into the court. And these people are being told through Superior and the other courts that they have to get out. One of the individuals was defrauded out of the sum of $50,000 and counting. When I saw this, and I saw it in black and white for myself, 2 of the individuals came to legal services here that began, they did nothing for them. They were so frustrated, what do I do? So I said, I'll tell you what you do. I'm going to work with you, and wherever I have to go, whoever I have to see, we're going to see them. In all 4 of the cases, Your Honor, Councilman, fraud was in the midst. In the county, yes. 2 of the cases involving people putting funds on the county books and being defrauded out of their money. I told them this is a case for the Attorney General and some. So yes, expansion is needed, but 2, enforcement of even those that you get to assist. And thirdly, also something dealing with the county, somebody need to inspect them too. It also with the judges and some. I'm going to leave it at that because I could give you a list. Thank you.
How about the Corporation Council is going to address the item?
Just for the record, Kenyatta Stewart, City of Newark Corporation Council. So the program is doing very well. Actually, there are a load of people who have come here, more than, I'm not supposed to get some statistics to you. I did not have an opportunity to get them to you, but I did get information today that more than 300 people have been seen, little more than 130 certain people have been able to apply and have been serviced. Some people come in just to get basic information. People have been representing our residents, and the idea here is to expand so that more people can be represented. Some of the agencies that have applied to represent our people are unable to represent certain people because they receive federal funding. I know there was some mention a few moments ago about, fraud and things of that nature. The people who come here, they have to fall into a certain qualification. I'm not sure that some of the people who may have been mentioned a few moments ago would have qualified for our representation because they're people who fall into a certain category. However, I will speak to the young lady to get more information and see if we can help that family out. Thank you.
And court officers. Cousin, tell them only court officers could put people out.
Mr. Clerk, next item.
No one appearing, no further speakers. Motion to close the public hearing and adopt.
Roll call. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes,
if I
Councilman
may,
Gonzalez.
I believe that let's say, the clerk should send a letter to all the constables indicating that they are not authorized to do evictions. They are authorized to serve documents, but they are not authorized to do evictions.
Yeah, but,
How about a meeting with all?
well, you know, Mr.
The meeting would be better, but it's kind of difficult.
Make it a mandatory meeting for them.
Yeah, but you know what, Councilman, we also have these county constables that they work at the county courts, and they go around, so we
The
need
ones
some...
that we sponsor are not supposed to be doing that.
I agree with that, but I
And
think both
the
sides...
thing is, that, let's say that to be a court officer, you have to be appointed by the court.
Right.
Let's say we do not appoint court officers. We are appointing just constables so that they can serve subpoenas, and that's it.
Exactly.
Right. As noted, Mr. Clerk has noted, please. Continue, Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Cassandra.
6 PSNFK is an ordinance granting a 20-year tax abatement to 869 Broad Urban Renewal LLC for a project to convert an existing 4-story retail and office building into a residential and retail development. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
Does someone appearing?
Dion McCutcheon, Newark Matters. Anytime the city is making moves to make any type of developmental improvements, I'm all for it. I like living in a newly renovated area. I like nice-looking things. I like things to be well-organized and just, pleasant. I like pleasantries. Now, I've been approached with regard to these tax abatement things. What's going on with this tax? And I figured out what the problem is. Well, I find that only happens with me, but I don't know if I need to write something else. This time will be a little more, okay. I'm being approached a lot for some reason about this tax abatement issue. I try to explain to them that, in my opinion, I think it's beneficial, right? But I'm finding out what the issue is. There's no quantitative analysis that's applied to these ordinances when people read them. What I'm saying is there are no numbers for people to see the benefit. Quantitative analysis. Like, if I was to read it and say a 20-year tax abatement, right? I would like to know the rate of the tax and, that to be figured out in the details so that I can say, oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's a 20-year tax. We're going to give them this type of, I don't know if I can find the word right now, type of break. If people can see the numbers with these tax abatements and tax exemptions, if you guys put numbers to it, even as an example, then they can say, oh, after 35 years, this is what, but after the breaking point, if I remember from finance, I think it's called break point, then you can say, oh, that's the benefit. But without the numbers, they're saying tax abatement, why are you giving all these tax exemptions? I think these ordinances, I don't know if you can do that by law, but these ordinances need numbers so people can visually see the benefit. Because when you read it, it says, oh, they're giving out another tax break to these people. Why are they doing that? But, there's no quantitative reasoning that supports this. If that was to be applied to these ordinances as we read them, then people wouldn't have any questions. They'd be like, okay, if they could do basic mathematics, everybody has a iPhone, well, not everyone. Everyone has a computer, or you assume, so that they can see the numbers, because that's what I think the problem is. Nobody sees the numbers. And it looks like the city is just giving everybody tax breaks and tax exemptions, and they're saying, hey, what is this? So if I don't know if you guys have, well, you have a finance and taxation department, right? They have to have, at least I'm assuming, master's degrees in finance. Have them come up with the numbers, even if it's just an example, not the actual agreement or whatever the contract may be. Just something to show people this is what will happen as an example if we did this tax break for 20 years. And then once we reach break point, then the city will start getting profit, or I'm trying to remember some words from finance, some profit. So people just need to see it instead of just being words, in my opinion. Newark Matters.
Dion McCutcheon, defending the, I have 15 seconds, defending the aged, disabled, homeless, poor, and defenseless. Dion McCutcheon, Newark Matters.
Yes, Cassandra Dock, 920 Broad Street, Ken Gibson Boulevard. So I was just having this discussion about tax abatement. So for me, I think sometimes when we give out these tax abatements, I'm wondering if we know what the tax is on that particular development. Because a lot of times these developers really don't need no tax abatement. Because if the tax on that particular property, let's say what, $10,000 a year, while they're developing, because nothing is really on that. It might not be nothing there. So if the tax is only $10,000, that's the same thing that a homeowner might be paying, $1,000 a month towards their taxes. So why does that need to be abated? Why can't they be held responsible for that as they're building? Because, and like I was having a discussion with a developer, because that a lot of times that's not passed on, let's say if it's residential, it's not passed on to the tenant. And in some cases it is. Sometimes it's passed on to the homeowner for a couple of years, after they buy the home, they may get abatement. But a lot of times, I would like for us to find out what is the taxes on that particular property, so we'll know if it needs to be abated or not. Because if it's not more than $10,000 to $15,000 a year, that doesn't need to be abated while you developing. Because it's not going to take you no more than a year, or not even a year probably, the way, as quickly as things is being developed today, cousin. So this is your field right here. So we don't need to give you no break if you develop, because you are a developer, cousin. So I don't need to, I'm just kidding, allegedly. So we don't need to, allegedly. So we don't need to give you no break. You need to pay that $10,000 a year. You already got it. As a matter of fact, when you ask for the funding, you put that in the funding. You ask for it. When you ask for the funding, you put that tax money in the funding when you was asking for it. So we like Ron. So that money gets to be pocketed probably. Like Ron Bate. Ron probably, he got all kinds of money to do to Teachers Village. So the tax break that we gave him, he could have been paying taxes, because it's a little higher, like the developer was talking about, on historic buildings. It's a little higher, but then he walks away with that money that he put in for the funding. Cousin, respond to me. Cousin only.
Yeah, yes. Well,
or Lou. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people respond.
I think that there's a perception built on people's minds when a tax abatement is offered. The city does not lose anything on a tax abatement. The state loses a percentage. The second point is the tax abatement is offered to spur development in a lot of cases. There are properties that are located, projects that are located in properties that are either abandoned and you need the tax abatement in order to create development. The third portion, which is something that you don't see here, is a tax abatement on a case like this, and I guarantee, without even taking a look at the background, there's a benefits package associated with this tax abatement. So I'm sure that whoever the development is, the development came to the table and negotiated with the administration and probably the councilwoman from the Central Ward to develop a benefits package to be able to get the tax abatement and get this thing going. That's the reason for the tax abatement. If you were to ask me, are tax abatements needed in the city of Newark? From community to community, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not. Because then Councilman Gonzalez.
Yeah, Cassandra, just in the future, all the tax abatement meetings are public. We have several individuals come to tax, and we have a financial consultant which goes over all the numbers, so it's not arbitrary. What we're trying to do now is perfect a community benefits agreement so that a percentage of every tax abatement goes to a pool that can be used within the community. And during the construction, it's not that they don't pay taxes. That would be an exemption. They do pay those taxes.
Councilman Gonzalez?
We had a group of union employees here today, and one of the things that is mentioned at every meeting that we have regarding a tax abatement issue is that union has to be employed. Newark residents have to be employed in the project. That's one of the benefits that the Newark residents get from a tax abatement. Because if you don't give a tax abatement, or if you don't provide a tax abatement, there's the developer is not required to employ Newark residents or do anything that the city dictates.
Councilman Gonzalez.
Let me invite Donna and Cassandra to the meetings of the Tax Abatement Committee. I was a member of the Tax Abatement Committee, and when we met, we had in front of us all the, let's say, the cost to the city of each tax abatement. And I was very explicit in requiring the applicant to tell us what would be the cost, and we have, as mentioned before, a financial analyst that is going to determine what is the actual cost of giving that tax abatement. The other thing is that when you give a tax abatement, normally the city gets more money than otherwise would have gotten. Because let's say that the county only gets 5% and the school system only gets 5%. So I don't know if that's fair or not, but that's what the law establishes. So in the most of the tax abatement monies come to the city and not to the schools and not to the county.
Okay.
There's a gentleman going around, his last name is Field, if I'm not mistaken, and he's from Chatham, and he's questioning all tax abatements that are being given by the city because he lives outside of the city of Newark. So he gets affected. The state gets affected, not the city itself. The city itself doesn't lose much money. On top of it, we get the benefits, the benefits package that is always available on every tax abatement that is given. And the other thing is that we just had a group of union employees here. They were questioning, with all this development taking place in the city of Newark, the first thing that we do when we get to the meeting of the tax abatement committee has to be done with Newark residents.
Let's closing it. Let's call vote.
Councilwoman McGyver, second by Councilman Osborne. Wish to close the public.
Roll call, please.
And adopt?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Clerk, continue.
L is an ordinance amending Section 23:5-1, parking prohibited at all times. This would remove Prospect Road between Prospect Street and its westerly terminus from the list. This is in the East Ward. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
No one appearing, Mr. Clerk.
No one in public, no one appearing? Councilman, you wish to sponsor?
Mover and a seconder. Roll call.
Close the public hearing and adopt.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Continue, Mr. Clerk.
M is an ordinance to amend Title 16 entitled Health, Sanitation, and Air Pollution. This would add a new chapter entitled Mandatory Replacement of Lead Service Lines. Is there anyone present that wishes to be heard on this ordinance?
No one appearing.
No one appearing. Motion to close the public hearing and adopt. Council of the whole?
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Resolutions.
The agenda.
Resolution 7R1A is authorizing resolution for the Department of Administration for a bid contract for gases and rental of tanks. 1B is an authorizing resolution for the Department of Administration for a bid contract to provide key duplication and locks. Through 7R1B, Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
7R2A is an authorizing resolution for the Department of Economic and Housing Development for the private sale and redevelopment to redevelop the properties into 4 3-family and 1 2-family residential homes. Councilwoman MacGyver, second by Councilman Osborne, wish to return to administration.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Chairman, go on.
7R6A is an authorizing resolution for the Department of Law for settlement of a workers' compensation claim. 6B is an authorizing resolution for the Department of Law for settlement of a workers' compensation claim. 6C is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Law waiving the 20-day period for the ordinance to take effect. This is for the mandatory lead replacement line ordinance. 6D is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Law for a 20-day waiver of the 20-day period for an ordinance to take effect. This is for the legal right access to legal services for tenants. Through 7R6D, Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 I abstain on A and B, and yes on C and D.
Abstain on A and B. Yes on C and D. Yes.
Yes. Continue, Mr. Clerk.
7R8A is a authorizing resolution for the Office of Municipal Council City Clerk for a ceremonial street dedication. 8B is an authorizing resolution for the Office of Municipal Council City Clerk for a ceremonial street designation. Council of the Whole to adopt through 8B.
Sponsors.
Yes, sponsored by Councilman
Sponsors,
James.
James,
Second.
Councilman James. You second, Councilman?
Second. Roll call.
Same.
Yes.
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 8C is an authorizing resolution for the Office of Municipal Council City Clerk for the resolution waiving the special event application fees. Councilwoman, I'd like to suggest that we amend this to the resolution waiving the special event fee, not the application. It's $50 versus $250 or more.
As you wish.
As your wish.
So the amount waived is $250 though, right?
It could be higher, it depends on what. What
Yeah,
what's
so
offered.
we do with other groups, you cover
Yes.
all their initial fees.
Yes. Councilman MacGyver used to move, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Ramos, second.
To amend, to removing the application from the resolution,
Roll call.
to amend.
This is a perfect example of what we were talking about.
Councilman Amador.
I don't see anything wrong with this. Yes.
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 The same mover and second to adopt as amended.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 President, if I may just...
Councilman Gonzalez.
In the motions, I want to remind the administration of my request to have Halsey Street closed or a portion of Halsey Street closed for, during the summer months, so that people can, or close to traffic, so that people can go there and enjoy their dinners and their spirits.
After dinner event.
Yes.
All right.
That happens, let's say, I mention always the case in Puerto Rico. There is a place called La Placita in Puerto Rico, and every street around it is closed. And on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you have 4,000 or 5,000 people enjoying themselves, spending money in the city. I believe that's why we have to retain the students that are in Newark and go to other places to spend their monies.
Jersey City does that too. Mr. Clerk, as noted, a motion by Councilman Gonzalez.
I will bring that up when we do the
Right.
section.
Continue, Mr. Clerk.
8D are various recognizing and commending resolutions. 8E are various expressions of profound sorrow and regret. Through seminar 8E, Council of the Whole to adopt.
Okay.
Yes.
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 8A is an ordinance to create a program that authorizes the city to lease city-owned property.
Are you going to late?
The rest of the resolutions on the blue pages?
Late
Let's do the, sorry, edit started pages.
I don't want to be a clerk, but
7R2B is a ratifying, authorizing, and amending resolution for the Department of Economic and Housing Development for redevelopment agreement. This is the third amendment to the redevelopment agreement for the Old Third Ward Redevelopment LLC.
All right.
Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call.
yes.
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 7R4A is a authorizing resolution for the Department of Finance approving the loan and escrow agreement for a lead service line replacement program, Phase 2. Council of the Whole to adopt.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Here. Yes. Yeah, here.
8F,
here.
in the absence of Council President Crump, I'd like to ask the council to, Council of the Whole to amend this resolution, again, removing the application, the word application, so that it becomes special event fee.
Council as a whole, right?
Mr. President.
Yes, Councilman Raymond.
You guys do the titles though, right? So moving forward, you're gonna eliminate it so it doesn't show up on the agenda? The titles aren't put in by us.
Right, Councilman, I am told by staff that that change is not necessary in this situation, but I don't,
What's the difference between this one and the one for Halsey Street?
I don't see any difference, actually.
And this one is 750.
$50. I believe that we should do the motion to remove application.
Yellow wagon.
I mean, I agree with Councilman Ramos. I don't see the difference.
Well, I think the difference is that
Well, the
they're waiving the
prices,
Wiener wagon or
This is
whatever.
the wagon.
Oh. I'm guessing the wagon is 500?
Yeah.
Probably is.
Hold the wagon.
We create ordinances, and then we create all kinds of exceptions.
And then you do exception. All right, so what is the pleasure?
Could I ask what the opinion of the BA is here? Should we be waiving the fee for the Wiener wagon? Because that's not what we agreed to. Can you speak on the mic?
Put that on the record.
Everybody else has kind of played by the rules up here. Halsey Street, we had a festival in the East Ward the other day, and every fee that we've waived has been under $300, and now all of a sudden we have one where we're looking to waive the Wiener wagon.
Yeah, I think the Wiener wagon fee, Councilman, is not waivable by resolution through the council.
Actually, it's part of the special events ordinance.
Ordinance.
It is.
It's not fair to the other groups that haven't asked for the same courtesy.
Right.
I defer to the council, but it's, I don't believe it is waivable.
Okay, what is the pleasure?
But
Let's amend it to what is
You
waivable.
want to do the amendment?
Yes, to what
Clerk, they want to amend.
is waivable.
Okay, so to amend.
So we are amending to remove the word application, or are we amending to change the?
You're amending what's allowed to be covered by our ordinance. That's the way the clerk's office should be presenting these resolutions to us. We shouldn't have to amend it at the meeting.
We will waive, but not more than that.
So,
We have the opinion of the business administrator indicating that the Winnebago is not waivable, so I'll go with
record. It's on record, so,
Why are you putting this on me?
put on you. You'll be the guy. You're gonna be the bad guy.
I stand by my position.
All right, so, Ms. Clark?
So let's amend this to remove application to the special event fee, and then we will allow the office, the special events office to determine what that fee actually is once they remove the wingo wagon.
No, what the ordinance
Let's do
says.
it right here. We should be clear in our instructions to that department. I believe it's important that we set the rules.
Well, but the difference, though, in this situation.
Is that one is by the president and the other is not?
Well, one is, the president is the sponsor for the entire event, as opposed to a co-sponsor with a nonprofit organization.
Well, the same happens with, let's say, we want to control what the mayor can waive. I believe we should be able to control what any member can waive.
Every council has the same right then.
That's right.
Sponsor
It's
a
on
peanut
here.
wagon
It's on
and.
here. It's not correct the way it's on here, right? She has to sponsor it herself. She has to sponsor the event herself. I've gone, I've gone through that a couple of times.
Yeah, I was clerk. Reason, we're gonna,
One member doesn't have more authority than the other.
no.
Yes.
Everybody's, the 9 members got elected the same
The
process,
same way that she was elected, we were elected.
and I concur.
Let's defer this
you
until the
just-
special on the 24th.
Let's defer this, come on.
Let's
The
defer.
special on the 24th,
All right,
and
Yeah.
we can
You
discuss
just
it.
have me jump through hoops.
all right,
About the
all right,
way
let's
it-
get a roll call. Okay, to defer. Roll call on defer.
Yes. Wiener wagon.
Reluctantly, yes. I prefer to vote on it today and amend it.
Yes.
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 Just had me jump through hoops.
Yes to defer. Continue.
7R8G is an authorizing and amending resolution for the Office of Municipal Council City Clerk. This is amending resolution for amending the 2019 municipal budget.
Mr. President,
Yes, Council Ramos.
we had suggested a number of amendments to the budget, and we've never been notified whether or not those were included in the budget that was submitted to the state local government services. Can you verify that?
I had a meeting.
Yeah, Councilman
I had
Salsa.
an informal meeting with Joe Falcone yesterday, and he indicated that the budget provides for 10 more inspectors and provides for $50,000 to the non-for-profits that are involved in sports.
Can we get that verification in writing from the business administrator that it could be provided to the council?
Councilman, if you look at the numbers, you'll see that what was done was the budget folks took $50,000 out of the clerk council budget, which they then moved over to recreation to set up this special program. The numbers, if you look at you will see the numbers clearly in the budget itself.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at the amendment. I mean, the amendments cover a lot of general shifts, so it's hard to figure out specifically what applies to the items that the council requested, so. All right.
All right. What is the pleasure? All right, so,
Council of the whole?
excuse me. Donna, please. Roll call.
Council of the whole to adopt?
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes.
I'm telling you.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Mr. President, this item as an amendment to the municipal budget, because of this amendment, there must be a public hearing. We will advertise it in accordance with law, and there will be a public hearing at the special meeting of September
Ready for the
24th,
Christmas therapy.
beginning at 10 a.m. here in the council chamber.
Guys, sleepy.
You must be ready for the Christmas decoration.
Sleepy, man.
Okay. Back to the regular agenda.
These ordinances don't warm out.
8A is an ordinance to create a program that authorizes the city of Newark, the city to lease city-owned property to nonprofit corporations for the sole public purpose of using said property as a location for social gatherings and community activities related to artistic and cultural endeavors. I believe Corporation Council has something to say on this one.
All right. Kenyatta's ready.
Just for the record, Kenyatta Stewart, City of Newark Corporation Council. So I did realize that I failed to mention a line that says that the nonprofits have to be established and prove that they have been established a year before the lease. We don't want folk to start a nonprofit and get the lease when we have people who have been doing work here. That was one of the original recommendations, and I didn't put it in there, so I'm asking, if possible, if we can make the amendment on the floor.
Mr. President? Yeah, and again, I apologize for not being here yesterday, and I do have a number of questions specifically related to the land bank. So is this connected somehow to the land bank?
I mean, it's not connected to the land bank. No, this is.
So this would be the city authorizing these non-for-profits to utilize city-owned property, not the land bank?
Not the land bank. This is the city.
Okay, all right, fine.
I have a question. Kenyatta.
Yes.
So who will decide who leases to the property? Which nonprofits get the property?
So they're going to do an RFP. We're going to have an RFP process. You'll compete and, go through the process. It'll be open to all folk. And at that point, of course, there'll be a recommendation, and then the council would approve it.
Okay.
Just like any other lease.
I mean, the council still got to vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they would notify.
Yes, Councilman Ramos?
When the RFP comes out, right?
All right.
Let me just, I just think the council people should be involved at some point before it gets here.
Excuse me?
I think the council people should be involved at some point before it gets to the vote.
You can't necessarily be involved before nonprofit.
At some point.
Hear me out. Whenever the RFP goes out, it'll be going out public, like any other RFP. The council members, of course, can encourage, nonprofits that that do great work to apply, but you can't necessarily say to the administration that we want that to happen, because then you won't be able to
I'm not
vote on it.
saying that we want it to happen. I'm just saying that I would like to be involved, that I would like to know that it's happening.
Well, I mean, the RFP will be public.
Because
You'll know.
Because the council people have the vision of what we want to see in the ward. And for us not to get involved until it reaches this point, that's like with the properties. I mean, you don't have a vision of what or you're not in the community every day, in the ward every day, to know what we're looking for in the ward.
Could I ask
Yeah, Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, would the department essentially identify properties that they felt are potentially good uses for cultural groups? Is that going to be included in the RFP, where they would identify, let's say, these 10 properties throughout the city
Yes.
are available for potential leases? Is that going to be the way the process works?
It is. However, I mean, I'm realistic, and I also recognize that, while going through the process, we may be in a space where, the department realizes that whoever won may need more space or what have you, and then you all can be a part of that voting process.
Yeah. Look, I'm not interested in vetting out what properties. I mean, the department should have a good understanding of what areas would be good uses, what properties. I'm just curious as to whether the competitive process is going to already flag potential properties that these groups can apply for these leases for.
Correct. But again, I do not want you to think that we're going to limit it to that idea because of the fact that if I identify, let's use 3 properties within 3 different wards, and then a nonprofit from a different ward wins and wants to be in the particular ward that they're from, I don't want to limit them to be forced to go to the opposite ward.
Can I make a point?
Yeah, Councilman.
My main point is that, in my experience, a lot of the nonprofits are coming to the West Ward or the South Ward, and I imagine the Central Ward, and we're overloaded with nonprofits.
Okay.
And they're all on the corridors, they're everywhere. And if they're not generating income, I have nothing against nonprofits, but they're everywhere. And then people ask me, not that I have control over whether they come there or not, but it's overrun with churches and nonprofits. And at some point, how can we build a ward up if we're constantly being bombarded with nonprofits? And again, I have nothing against nonprofits, nothing against churches. But the reality is that they mostly come to the West Ward.
So noted.
All right.
So
Oh, Council President, I just want to, I just want to say that I am definitely in support of this ordinance, but I do want to reiterate what someone said. I don't know which colleague said what at this point, but it was about the advertisement. There are tons of nonprofits in our city, and I am a nonprofit big supporter, but we do want to be fair and give everybody the opportunity. So if we could just coordinate with us getting the information ahead of time so that we can advertise to people, nonprofits who could possibly apply for this space or bid out for this space.
Right, we'll make sure, like I said, we'll make sure the council is aware of the public notice when it goes out.
All right, our final last, Councilman Gonzalez.
Let's say, what is a non-profit? Is it a non-for-profit created under the state or a non-for-profit approved by the IRS? Because there's a lot of non-for-profits that are not approved by the IRS, and I suppose they would qualify. If we were to limit the application to only those that are 501c3s or C4s or whatever, the number is going to be much less.
Let's get to the vote, because I mean, be here all night.
Let's,
I mean, come on.
on this ordinance, let's advance to first reading, and we'll bring it up on first reading at the special of the 24th, which will give the Corporation Council an opportunity to make some tweaks.
Roll call.
Roll call to advance to first reading.
Council
of the whole.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
8B is an ordinance to amend the supplemental title 18 Housing Code by adding Chapter 14, Establishment of Land Bank.
Mr. President.
Yes, Councilman Ramos.
I just want to say that, I wasn't here yesterday, so I do have a number of questions regarding this, so I will hold those questions until this pops up on the agenda again. But I just want to quickly just reiterate, and I've had this conversation with the BA, that, you know, I do believe that if land bank is established, that it should focus on properties that the city has tried to sell in the past, whether by auction or rolling sale, and was unsuccessful in that process, that every property has to be authorized individually to the bank through the city council action, and that the entity itself have some kind of requirement that they disclose the process by which they're looking to either sell or designate some of these properties. You know, once a property is transferred to this non-for-profit organization, you know, there has to be protections in place that's going to ensure that the public is aware of how that entity is transacting and potentially selling or designating these properties which were previously city-owned. So I just want to put those on the record. I'm going to take this opportunity over the next week or so to review this, and I'll come back with any other questions or suggestions.
Mr. Clerk, as noted by Councilman Ramos.
If I may,
Councilman Gonzalez.
might piggyback on that. I believe that some of the concerns expressed by Councilman Ramos have to be addressed in the agreement between the land bank and the city, because, or the entity designated by the city. And we haven't seen a draft of that agreement. I would love to see the draft of that agreement before we authorize the land bank. I would love to see that the latest, let's say, the up-to-date regulations and other that other municipalities and other states have used are state-of-the-art is implemented in that transaction. One of the things that I proposed was the same that Councilman Ramos indicated, where the properties before they are transferred to this entity have to be auctioned out by the city, so that the city can get the benefit of any direct sales of those properties.
The Corporation Counsel.
Sure. So as you can see, this is just authorizing the land bank. I don't want you to think that, you know, the land bank agreement isn't following it, and that is a document that we are still rustling through as we speak. That will have most of the details about the responsibility of the land bank. However, in the actual document here, it speaks to what's required, and then the agreement will speak to what will happen on a day-to-day process.
Yeah, I read the proposal, and I have some questions that I will address at a later point.
Sure.
But I would love to see a draft of the agreement before this ordinance is read and adopted on second reading.
All right.
Ditto.
All right, Mr. Clerk.
Council of the whole to advance to first reading?
Yes.
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 C is an ordinance which would add the publication of executive orders on the City of Newark website as an additional option for the public advertising requirement of all executive orders. Council of the whole to advance to first reading?
Roll call.
Yes.
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 8D is an appointment to the Equitable Growth Advisory Commission.
Well, I have my doubts.
Yeah.
All right. So what is the pleasure?
I'll sponsor
it. You have your doubts.
Take a chance.
All right. Council's a whole roll call.
Yes.
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 We have the pre-printed motion by Councilman Gonzalez asking the administration to consider closing a portion of Halsey Street during the summer months as an entertainment venue.
2020, right? That's a 2020.
Council of the whole?
Roll call. No, Councilman Gonzalez. You need a second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Motions?
Councilman Amador.
I don't have any motions, but going back to communication, Corporation Council 8A, where does a street closing fall into when you look at this ordinance? 8A,
Okay. All right.
public property. The request is something to look into.
All right. Can the Corporation Council look and get back to Councilman Amador? Okay, Councilman Gonzalez.
No more.
Councilman James has about 10.
Okay, real quick, just want to thank Chancellor Avenue School. We participated through the back-to-school night. I'd like to thank New Jersey Citizens Action Committee at the NJIT. They had a seminar for home ownership. Myself and the Lieutenant Governor spoke. I'd like to thank the county today. They had a dedication of plaques honoring Pearl Beatty, Kenneth Gibson, Trish Marishamba, and Raymond Rivera.
Ramon Rivera.
No,
Not Raymond.
His father.
Ramon. Ramon.
His father.
Not Raymond, Ramon.
This Saturday, I have my monthly meeting from 9 to 11 at 400 Hawthorne Avenue. All are welcome. We have a census job fair for veterans. That's going to be on the 24th from 4 to 7, 400 Hawthorne Avenue. And we're going to have a South Ward gospel music event on Saturday, September 28th at Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church at Hawthorne and Osborne Terrace. For more information, contact my office, 733-3753. That's all I have.
All right, very good. Roll call.
Yes.
He broke a record today.
Yes.
Finished?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes, yes. Councilman?
Okay, I just have a couple. I want to give a shout out to Pastor Clegg and the New Covenant Baptist Church for hosting a community cookout this past Saturday. And also at that cookout was the Crazy Faith Riders, AKA the Black Cowboys. I want to thank them for coming out with the horses and giving our kids and grown folk rides in the community. So again, thanks to the Black Cowboys.
Right. Mover and second. Roll call. Can't leave. We gotta go. Gotta have five.
Yes.
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 Yes. Councilwoman?
Just two quick things. At the last regular meeting, I had made a motion to the Department of Engineering regarding the update on street paving that we received a report on with dates that street paving would begin a couple of months ago. We even approved some grants to do the street paving. We received another PowerPoint presentation given to the council about a week and a half ago that had the same dates on there that we had at the presentation. My two streets in question was Boyd Street and Bergen Street, which Bergen Street has been a problem since the winter months. According to the PowerPoint I got, the paving was supposed to start on September 16th. Well, it's September 18th today. And the same PowerPoint that I got again had the same date. So once again, I am requesting Council President, City Clerk, for an update on when my two streets will be paved from the Office of Engineering. That is Boyd Street and Bergen Street. Please. I don't need the same PowerPoint I got before that I've gotten 5 times. I just want to know, when is it going to happen? Based upon what Councilman Amador said a couple of meetings ago, we promised residents that it would be done, especially a main street like Bergen. People are currently driving down, swerving, trying to avoid from hurting their wheels on their cars and their shocks and everything else. And so we've told them that if that's not going to happen, then let us know so that we can reiterate to the residents when it is going to happen. So I would like to update on those streets. And lastly, I just want to announce to the community that we are having a community meeting regarding the Kruger Scott Mansion to update residents on the
construction and the redevelopment of the site. It's going to be on Tuesday, September 24th at 6:00 p.m., and it's going to be held at St. James Church, located at 588 Martin Luther King Boulevard. We welcome everybody to come out and get an update on the site, which is very historical in our city, on how we're moving forward with the Kruger Scott Mansion. Thank you.
Second. Move on a second.
Gonzalez absent. James absent.
Yes.
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 Yes. Councilman Osborne.
I just got one. That we scheduled a PLA presentation meeting before the next regular meeting.
All right. As noted, Councilman Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have
Oh, you want a roll call on that? Okay, I thought it was this.
just an announcement.
Okay, an announcement. So you want to do a vote on that?
It's an instruction.
Okay, instruction, okay. That's, sorry. I'll second. Roll call.
Amador absent. Gonzalez absent. James absent. McCowan.
Yes.
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 Yes. Councilman Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few motions. One is a request through your chair and the clerk to prepare legislation to make Elliott Street one-way from Summer Avenue to Broadway. We're having some serious traffic safety issues there in the morning. The school recently expanded, and they have over 1,000 kids this year, and the area really cannot handle, a lot of the traffic, especially early in the morning. And I did a walkthrough with the captain there last week and the new principal of the school. So I would like that legislation prepared, if possible. The other thing is to the Department of Economic Development, an update on the 391 Parker Street. This was a property that the city owns. Some years back, we were able to acquire some funding privately to do the demolition of existing property there. The property had been committed via rolling sale to someone probably about 7 years ago, and it still lays vacant in the area, and it does cost the city quite a bit of money to constantly pick up debris that's illegally dumped there. And I'm not sure how that agreement is still standing with whoever the city committed the property to some years back. So it's a great opportunity for someone to develop in the city's historic district, and there aren't many city-owned properties there, and I would like to see that property be committed to someone else soon. We had a public safety committee meeting last week. Councilman Amador sat in, and one of the items that came up at that meeting with the, we had representation from the Newark Court and also the police and fire divisions, were establishments that are found to be selling alcohol illegally and are somehow able to open up within weeks. And the police division believes that there has to be some kind of ordinance amendments that are made through our end in order to prevent that establishment, which in many cases are social clubs, some local cafes, selling alcohol legally, and in my opinion is a pretty serious violation, which warrants more than just a summons to appear before court, which allows them to reopen once they satisfy that fine. So I would like, through your chair and the clerk, for us to figure out a way to stiffen that penalty and not allow that establishment to open up again with ease. So that's a request through your office. I know today we approved some of the ordinances connected to the lead service line replacement, and I did have a conversation with the BA and the Corp Council last week about whether or not we needed to do legislation, but I understand now it's going to be a policy of the Water Department. We do have private property owners around the city that want to do their own lead service line replacement. The issue at hand is that the fees connected with the permits that they have to pull for that, in our case, are anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, which really doesn't make sense. And the reason many of them want to do it is that they don't want to wait for the city to assign a contractor to do the work. They have tenants who, in some cases, are not interested in renting right now because of all the bad publicity connected to the water issue that the city's having. So I think we can take advantage of that opportunity. The administrator and the Corp Council have researched, and we are willing to waive those permit fees as long as the property owner utilizes and is able to certify that the lead service line was replaced by an approved plumber. So I would like for the administration to give this body a copy of that policy when it's available, and I would encourage us to get the word out, because I really believe that that'll help reduce the number of lines that the city has to replace through their contractors. And the last thing is that I want to make an announcement that on September 28th, our Forest Hill Community Association is having their first ever Porch Fest, which is a kind of a music festival that they're promoting in the Forest Hill community. We have, I think, like 20 some odd properties that have partnered and have agreed to be part of Porch Fest. And I just want to, through the chair and the clerk, get the word out on that event. That's it, Mr. President.
All right.
Yeah, we're going to Ken's house that day. So.
We'll hope we go to your house. Second, roll call.
Second.
There you go, second.
Yes.
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 Yes. You know, tonight, you know, there was some folks don't understand that there's some rules here. And some people are, shouting from the audience what occurred. We're not going to allow folks to come in here and disrupt the city council. They don't do it at the freeholders meeting. They don't do it at the Senate, the Assembly. They don't do it anywhere, but they come here, they want to be destructive. And for that reason, there was a speaker that was, we removed the name, and we will continue to remove those names, because I'm suggesting that we cannot allow this behavior of people who come before us. They want to be heard for 5 minutes, and we give them the 5 minutes. But then to be destructive, and yesterday what occurred was that the business administrator was speaking, and the person who spoke then wanted to speak behind him, and they had their 5 minutes. So there's no misunderstanding that we just threw someone out. That is not so. But it's just to be clear, there has to be some kind of order in this chambers. We cannot allow this chambers to become a laughing stock around the city. Children, people look at this, and they take these council meetings serious, like I do. And, in 30-some years, in city government, I've never seen it come this way, where people just continue to come here. I want to thank the law enforcement, the police officers tonight. Thank you for your professionalism and acting professional and handling it professional. Those that don't have nothing to contribute will come here to challenge. But this is not a place to challenge. This is a place where we're going to do business for the citizens of this city. Whether we agree with the mayor or disagree with the mayor, we have to respect the mayor's office and the governing body that's this legislative government. We're not going to continue doing any of that anymore. And I'm urging the council president, Mildred Crump, that we have an order here, that we have to have an order. We cannot allow this to continue. If we do, shame on us. It cannot continue, because they'll come and they'll keep doing it, and we're not going to allow that anymore. If the shoe fits, you wear it. If it doesn't fit, you don't wear it. And this is the way it's going to be. We have to have professionalism in this council, and it has to be done in this fashion. So I just want to say to the law enforcement and everyone, the clerk, staff, thank you so much. Good night.
to adjourn? Good stuff. Yes.
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 Good stuff, Louis.